As the 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series kicked off, it looked like Mike Eddy would dominate once again as he grabbed 2 wins. But Lady Luck had other ideas. Wisconsin Warrior Scott Hansen stepped up to take over the points lead with 2 wins of his own in the early stages of the year. But Ohio outlaw Gary St. Amant found himself in victory lane and applying heavy pressure to Hansen's title hopes. As rogue rookie Kevin Sawinski laid claim to victory lane 3 times in the middle of the season, Hansen was once again in command of the title-bound freight train. Bob Seneca sneaked into title contention, picking up 3 wins of his own in the heat of summer. However, with cooling temperatures came cool, calculating customers Tony Raines and wrench wizard Howie Letow, who with 2 races to go have 2 wins and the points lead. Today, it's Jennerstown Speedway, where you better buckle in tight for another incredible finish, because the witching hour is upon us. Absolutely spectacular weather here in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania, and the fall foliage in all its glory throughout the hillside surrounding beautiful Jennerstown Speedway. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Welcome to Jennerstown Speedway. We got a great crowd on hand as we come down to the penultimate event here, the 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series season. And I'm joined as always by my good buddy Jim Trado. And boy, Jim, we got one heck of a points battle on our hands.
Boy, the thought was Gary St. Amant and Scott Hansen were going to take it all the way to the end of the season. Well, they've had some problems, but look at Tony Raines. No problems at all. Extremely well coming off his win last weekend at Salem. Vaults into a 103-point lead over St. Amant and Hansen. Both had problems last week. Seneca on the charge and Kevin Sawinski, a rookie, not out of it. He may be the first rookie ever to win this title yet.
All 5 of those drivers still mathematically in it. Take a look at the bottom half of the top 10 now. Sensible, Knott, Miller, Loney, and Roper, they've all been in and out of the points chase at different points in the season. Now, one driver who leads the point standings struggled a little bit qualifying.
He didn't qualify up front, but he's had such a great run. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and a 10th in the last 7 races. That's what made him the point leader. He's got a little ways to go here, but a great, great team on a real strong roll.
He runs for the Baker Motorsports crew. You see crew chief Howie Letow leaning into the cockpit. Now, this crew is awesome.
With or without Howie Letow, this team is awesome. Scott Hansen, Steve Holtzhausen, and Tony Raines have all enjoyed success just here at Jennerstown. They've run 9 races, but you see only a 27th and a 15th by Holtzhausen, smattered in there with some great finishes for this team.
Consistency like that is exactly what you need when you come down to the end of a season. So Tony Raines in good position. Now there are 5 points available for qualifying on the pole. Tony Raines would love to have those 5 points. He didn't get them. Who did, Dave Burns?
Scott Hansen got 4 of them, Ralph. When he looks out his front window, he sees nothing but the pace car and clear racetrack. He'll start on the outside of row number 1. He's 3rd in points, but he still has an outside chance at a championship. But in order to get there, he knows that something very wrong has to happen to Tony Raines, or he's not going to have a shot at it. As well, Gary St. Amant, who will start on the pole today, also knows that. He has to have a great day, but he can't really control what's going on, so he's very relaxed about this weekend. I talked to him about that yesterday. But Gary, at this racetrack, you've only finished as high as 4th, and yet you love this place. Do you feel this place kind of owes you one?
Yeah, it does. You know, we were real good here last year, and me and my little buddy Glenn Allen Jr. Raced 50 laps side by side hard, and had a good enough car to win. That day we finished 4th. Maybe we'll get one today here for the Winsport City Ford Thunderbird. Fun place to race. I think the fans are going to have a good time watching this rock and roll Jennerstown, Pennsylvania.
Well, Gary's going to give him a show from the front of the grid, but he wasn't the fastest qualifier yesterday. The fastest qualifier will actually be at the back because he didn't pass technical inspection, Ralph, and that is something that will really give the fans a show from the back of the pack.
That's right, Dave. The number 5 car, Steve Holtzhausen, had 1 pole, and Jim, they took basically 1 away from him.
Right after qualifying, they impounded the top 5 cars. Steve Holtzhausen's car, according to ASA officials, did not pass post-qualification inspection. He'll start 32nd. 1 year ago, Holtzhausen started 27th and took the lead prior to the first pit stop session, so he knows how to pass cars and go quickly around this oval.
The driver's title is obviously one that we're following, but the manufacturer's point standings are just as interesting.
Believe it or not, after 18 races, only a single point separate Pontiac and Ford. The strong runs by Brad Loney as of late and Tony Raines have really tightened up the battle. They had trailed Ford and Chevrolet at one point. Now you can see they only lead by a single point over Ford with 7 victories.
Well, before we go racing, we got to fire up those 9-to-1 V6 motors. So back downstairs to Dave Burns to crank them up.
Well, Ralph, it's another great afternoon for AC-Delco to promote their product and their racing series, the AC-Delco Challenge Series, the American Speed Association. And to get us going today is Ron McLaughlin, who's an account manager for AC-Delco. Ron, go ahead.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
The fall foliage is in all its glory here in Pennsylvania, and we got one tremendous points chase ready to be settled at Jennerstown. Coming up next.
AC-Delco knows that as a car gets older, its engine runs rougher. So we developed a spark plug to help bring back new car feel. Rapid Fire from AC-Delco. It makes an engine idle up to 27% smoother and accelerate with up to 18% quicker throttle response. Rapid Fire. It'll have the competition shaken. Check out packages of Rapid Fire for a chance to win cash prizes or a new Chevy Blazer.
Wynn's Extend Supreme Plus is a patented oil supplement especially formulated for today's high-tech engines. Extend helps increase oil life, combats engine wear, and reduces oil oxidation. So next time and every time you have your oil changed, ask for Extend, the supplement that will not void manufacturer's warranties and comes with its own 100,000-mile warranty. Extend Supreme Plus, a Wynn Oil Company product since 1939. Available at your quality service facility, including Firestone, Goodyear, and Grease Monkeys.
Charge! Fight for an empire with the Learning Channel's real history. Striking lethal blows on Conqueror's Week. Attack with Napoleon, a cocky genius destroyed by his own flaws. Raid with Peter the Great, a maniac with a taste for territory and torture. Bold, ruthless, born to rule. Loot and plunder all week. Feel the rush of victory on Real History. Weeknights at 9 Eastern and Pacific on TLC. Adventures for your mind.
Oh, my. Check out the wheels on that one.
Wheel Mist is a one-step multi-purpose formula specially designed to clean all types of custom wheels, factory-treated wheels, and hubcaps. Wheel Mist multi-purpose cuts through brake dust, road film, and other contaminants quickly and easily.
Very clean.
Wheel Mist multi-purpose. There's no shine like Mother's.
The AC-Delco Challenge Series is brought to you in part by Wynn Oil Company, makers of quality automotive car care products. Remember, when it's wins, it works. Buy your GM Goodwrench service dealer. We want your business. And by the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Welcome back to Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. You can see all the beautiful fall foliage as the AC-Delco Challenge Series cars start to warm up those 9-to-1 V6 motors as we get set for the Pennsylvania 400. Next to last race, the 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour. Well, let's introduce you to the grid now. The cars that will be starting up today. Row number 1, Gary St. Amant, the pole winner, picks up 5 points. Scott Hansen trying to stay alive in the title chase. Will line up alongside. Mike Miller has 2 wins inside of row number 2, and Joe Nadu has 1 alongside.
Rows 3 and 4 consist of drivers with a lot of experience and no experience here. Kevin Sawinski and fellow rookies Carl Muscott and Jack Landis join Tony Raines in the middle of the front of the pack. Again, Raines, the point leader, will be passing quite a few cars in hopes of leading the most laps and putting the nail in the coffin heading into Kenley.
See Brett Bell's number 56 coming to a stop for a little bit. He'll be on the inside of row number 6. In front of him will be Brad Loney and Brandon Sperling in row 5. Ted Smokestad will line up alongside of Bell in row number 6.
Qualifying 13th, Buddy Schrock. He said it's the 13th of the month. 13th starting position could be lucky for the 35 team. Tom Jones starts Jim Daly's 0 car outside row 7. He's joined by Pat Bordeaux and Neil Conley, his season best qualifying effort outside row 8.
Row number 9, you find the 7-time champion Mike Eddy, who has a lot of victories here at this racetrack and a lot of heartaches as well. Dave Senspo alongside of him, still looking for his first win. Rick Miller returns to the tour after a couple of races off. He's on the inside of row number 10. Bob Seneca, you saw in the tees, won here in spectacular fashion, sliding around the pit wall as he came to the checkered flag last year.
As we look back through the field, Tony Roper is 10th in points. He'll start inside of Harold Fair, who's climbed to 13th in the standings. Rick Beebe takes the 23 car to the inside of Andy Bozell, looking for a rookie run in 1997 in that red 83 Chevrolet.
Back into row number 13, you'll find Bill Baird starting alongside of Tom Harrington, making one of his first starts here in 1996. Kurt Huff, out-qualifying his brother once again. He's alongside the gentle giant, Dennis Lampman.
And lining up through the qualifying event, row 15, we find Randy Ruhlman and Aaron Huff in the 15 car. Bob Dorsman's the familiar white number 25. And we mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Steve Holtzhausen the quickest qualifier, but he'll start dead last, 32nd on the field due to a post-qualification infraction. And the ASA said, you go to the back of the field, no points for the qualifying effort. Good luck on passing a bunch of cars. And I think we'll see Holtzhausen knife his way through the field rather easily.
We should clear up that whole Holtzhausen deal right here and now. There was one tire found on the car, the right rear, which was a little soft. The way that whole deal works is they check the tires and post-race inspection. Holtzhausen wants the tech inspector to come down and go through all the tires before the start of the race. Those tires come off the Goodyear truck. They're not sure if that was one they had or one that they had purchased that somebody else had had. Okay, here's a look at the track description. It's a half-mile oval, some banking.
Very wide racetrack. It's good in case there's problems ahead of you. There's room to maneuver. Unlike the high banks we've been to at Toledo and Salem, 9 degrees in the turns, very wide straightaways as well. And we've seen spectacular crashes here, but we've seen some great side-by-side racing on this big oval here. It's beautiful weather, beautiful layout. Great day for racing.
Now, there's one driver that knows how to win here for sure, and that is Tom Jones. He spent a lot of time going around this track, and the Zero Hero took some time out this weekend to tell us what you have to do to win at Jennerstown.
Be consistent. That's the main thing, because that's the biggest thing in winning a race at this track is to be consistent. It's a very difficult track to keep your car within, say, 20 hundredths of every lap from start with new tires to old tires. If you can do that, you can win here.
Well, we'll try to keep an eye on that for you throughout the course of the race to see which drivers are being consistent. As you look at Roger Slack, field under his control, and a quick look at the race analysis. 400 laps from 32 cars.
It's a pretty long race, a race of endurance indeed. 32 cars starting. We see that Chevys and Fords and Pontiacs are joined by an Oldsmobile this week. That being driven by Tom Harrington. Gary St. Amant officially on the pole, not a track record. Joe Knott had that back in July at Holds, but St. Amant going over 100 miles per hour average speed on this big half.
And that is a lot of speed. As you take a look at the drivers who did not qualify here for the Jennerstown race, Pennsylvania 400.
Dave Onspaw, along with Paul Payne, who crashed in a late practice yesterday, and Greg Freed, a good run for the Detroit Wrecker Sales 80, but just not quite quick enough to make this ultra-quick field.
The next to last race of the 1996 Tour will take the green, and Gary St. Amant moves to the front. Quickly jumping out into the lead as they went into turn number 1, and will lead him back across the stripe. Hansen tries to duck to the inside. Mike Miller, Joe Knott, Kevin Sawinski, Carl Muscott all following us. Hansen tries to make a move to the bottom and maybe take the lead away.
This is how long it's going to take. We mentioned last week in Salem, it may take 3 laps to get around a fellow competitor. We see Hansen taking over a lap now. He gets around Gary St. Amant. St. Amant now has the work cut out for him to get back to the inside line. Otherwise, Mike Miller and Joe Knott, maybe the entire field will get St. Amant if he doesn't tuck back in. There's no rubber laid out there yet. Very loose on the outside.
Of course, St. Amant and Hansen and Mike Miller and Joe Knott all in this title fight. Everybody wants to lead at least 1 lap to pick up those 5 bonus points.
And Mike Miller's been extremely fast at some races. Unfortunately, he's had 2 motor problems that have really set him back in the championship chase, but he's been extremely quick in this car top Pontiac. He takes second away now from Gary St. Amant. See if he can close the gap on Hansen, who set out on an extremely quick pace 1 week ago at Salem on the high banks.
Sawinski taking a look to the inside of Joe Knott as they fight for 4. Carl Muscott having a pretty good run early on here in the number 8 car, and he's got Tony Raines right behind him in the white 87.
A nice top 10 qualifying run for that blue and white number 8 of Carl Muscott. A great qualifying effort. He said he's still working on getting that finish position, though. As we see Joe Knott, who had that spectacular crash 1 year ago here, battling with Kevin Sawinski.
Joe Knott thought he was going to get his first win right here at the end of the 95 season as he battles with Sawinski for 4th. Coming off the last turn, Bob Seneca caught him, got up with him, got together with him. They both went into the inside pit wall, and Seneca slid across the wall first to claim the win.
Joe Knott said he's learned a lot from that race. Not only did he carry pictures with him in his briefcase over the offseason last year, but he said, I learned to be patient. I learned not to use the mirrors. When it gets down to those last 40 laps, I rely on my concentration, and it was as if I tore the mirror off the car. I don't look back there anymore. I've learned my lesson from Jennerstown a year ago. Apco Racing Products, Clean Pontiac coming through and beating Carl Muscat through turn 4. He would like to lead a lap. That's 5 more points. St. Amant and Hansen have both gotten that position. Seneca, the other point chaser, has to get to the front row starting 20th. He's on a charge as well.
And don't you think, Jim, it's more than he wants to lead a lap? He needs to lead a lap. I mean, yes, he has a points lead, but there are enough points available in every one of these races to overtake very easily.
It's about a 150-point difference from last to first if you score a perfect score of 200 here in ASA. That many points over the race as Reigns nearly did a week ago, winning from the pole, garnered 195 points. If you factor in last place points, about 150 or 160 points, give or take, to determine if you can catch the leader heading into the final race in Kindling.
Well, he is all the way up to 4th right now as he gets around Sawinski and Joe Knott. You know what, Brad Loney's coming too. You see the blue number 33 pulling up alongside of Joe Knott going into turn number 3.
Brad's had some extremely strong runs this season. He finally got his first victory at the high banks at Toledo Speedway. But looking at the flat tracks, Loney, a native of Cedar Rapids, running that oval extremely well. This reminds me a little bit of Cedar Rapids itself. It's a flat, sweeping oval. Loney's very good there. 3-time track champion, comes here. Feels like he's at home. He's running extremely well in that Bud Saber Pontiac.
All those sponsorship deals, if you missed it on one of our earlier telecasts for Loney, are all done again for next year. He will have Bud Saber, H&W, and Flex Steel all returning with him on that number 33. We do expect a new paint scheme debut beginning of the year.
And Brad Loney, this young driver, has had 2 top 5 finishes here. Started running at ASA in 1992 and has not missed an event since. Running quick now. Again, it's getting strung out early here, Ralph, which could be a problem for the rest of the field. We saw last week at Salem, guys like Brad Loney went down a lap because they got tied up in traffic. Hansen and Reigns were the class of the field a week ago. Hansen now does have a 1.5-second lead already, and he's on the tail end of the front back straightaway.
And Joey Knott is dropping way back in the 48. He is having problems as we get a yellow, and this could be exactly what Joey Knott needs right now. The entire Slamman has lost the hood and basically the whole front end of the number 9. That is not just the hood, that is the quarter panels and all.
Barricade Flasher Chevrolet losing its front end. Usually you see that after damage. We didn't see if he got into somebody. We'll try to figure out what indeed happened here, but you see the body is still scraping on the left side there. He'll have to come down pit lane.
Well, it looks like he did some damage because it's all
smashed in the airbox.
This is Bill Baird in the 26 just in front, the black and orange car.
That is Lampman on the outside, and Baird comes up, and Lampman gets pinched to the wall there. Well, that's called a peel.
That'll do it.
Peel the front end off. Peel and eat shrimp kind of thing.
Peeled that bit, didn't it? Taking Tom Harrington right behind him. The only Oldsmobile in the field. So the Gentle Giant driving a modified. We'll have to come in and get that fixed. They won't necessarily have to replace the bodywork, but they might want to clear away anything that might be blocking the radiator.
On the front end of that car, that white box is called the air box. That brings all the air into the radiator. And unfortunately, Joe Knott has all the body parts there, but he's not running full song right now.
Now, what's the story on that car, Dave?
Yeah, Joe Knott, guys, is very, very tight right now. They've decided to stay on the track for the moment, but Joe cannot get the car to turn in the corners. Now, that's not a bad thing here at Jennerstown because the track has a reputation of loosening up, but they do feel that it'll take about 150 laps. So right now, Joe's car is about where it want to be about 100 laps from now.
The only problem with that, as Tom Jones said earlier, you have to be consistent. In a situation like that, he is anything but consistent at this point. There's your top 5. We're coming right back to
21 to learn how to receive cash for your vintage watch. Time means money. Call toll-free 1-800-352-2121. Call now.
Pride Racing has got the fastest cars in the quickest races. The NHRA Sportsman Challenge. The Sears Craftsman Nationals, Thursday on your regional sports network.
Welcome back to the Pennsylvania 400 from Jennerstown Speedway in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania, about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. Scott Hansen continues to lead as we go back to green. Mike Miller trying to close in. Number 18, Pontiac, chasing the Chevy of Hansen. Hansen has announced that he will be leaving this Gunderman operation at the end of this year. In fact, after today, the rumor is Hansen is supposedly driving straight down to Charlotte, where he will be inking a deal with Rick Hendrick and Kenny Schrader, who will be co-owners of an
yesterday afternoon. Very similar conditions. Sun came in and out of the clouds. Talked to a number of the crew chiefs, including Howie Leto, about how that affects the racetrack. He said it's actually going to be tightening up. We're going to have to tighten that car up because as the afternoon wears on, unlike a beating down sun, it won't get nearly as greasy, but they have to keep that car neutral to tight rather than having it loose because the tires do kind of slime over, they told me, in a long run.
It looks like the 18 car, Mike Miller's getting a lot of body roll. Oh, and he's going to go inside of Hansen right here going into 3. Good grip through the middle of the corner. Good, clean, close racing. And nobody touches it. Great driving by both of these drivers.
Two veterans of the AC-Delco Challenge Series really leading by what they're doing on the racetrack. Mike Miller confidently, quietly working his way up to the front. Hansen has been bad fast in many races and leads the most laps category for the season. Here Mike Miller tries to lead one and it won't do it this time.
Well, we saw some 50 laps of side-by-side racing between Glenn Allen Jr. and Gary St. Amant last year, so side-by-side racing with the ASA cars at Jennerstown, a regular happening. And this might get to be a good one, too, now as Gary St. Amant closes in to join this battle. Well, and Miller's finally going to have to back out of it. You see Tony Raines now up to 4th. Sawinski runs in 5th. Loney is 6th. Niscotten is 7th. Jack Landis is 8th. Sperling is 9th, and Brett Bell having a good run in the 56. He's in 10th.
You know, we talked about the great runs Kevin Sawinski's had. If you take out Kevin Sawinski from the rookie chase, Carl Scott and Jack Landis have had pretty decent seasons. They both qualified 13th or better in the last 2 races here at Jennerstown. Their rookie season, that'd be a great accomplishment. They're now running in the top 10, getting very comfortable in these ASA cars in their initial season.
Of course, there's also 5 bonus points available for leading the most laps, and that's why Hansen doesn't want to just give up the lead.
Scott did lead the most laps last weekend at Salem. He and, again, Tony Raines had dominant cars. Hansen trying to dominate here early at Jennerstown.
Miller applies the pressure once again, coming to the inside. Normally, Hansen might just be willing to let him go in a 400-lap race and let him take his turn to the top, but those 5 points for leading most laps available, you got to take everything you can get, and that's why Hansen fighting so hard to hang on. They're closing in on the lap car of Dennis Lampman. That could shake things up in front here as well.
32 cars started this race. They're all on lead lap. You see Mike Miller closing in the middle of the turn, but Hansen is extremely strong, carrying that speed through the corner. Mike Miller tried the inside of the leader, knew that Hansen wasn't going to give it up easy, and even with Miller's lower line, which he's been prone to do on occasion at flat track, Mike Miller does have an inside line that he can hold. That brand new suspension and everything he's got designed underneath there is really working well for him early.
So Dennis Lampman goes down a lap. How's that car now, Dave?
Well, this is all the aluminum of the airbox that they tore off of the car when he came into the pits. This directs the air into his radiator. It should be okay. Some fluid did come out of his radiator, but it was overflow. Obviously, though, Dennis' handling has been affected as he goes a lap down.
Everybody getting past Dennis as the leaders continue to fight it out here.
Steve Olshausen started at the tail end of this race, but he's already up to 23rd position. We've seen Randy Ruhlman going down a lap here. Bob Seneca also has moved up to 14th from his 20th starting spot, and Mike Eddy has come up to 11th position now. We see him in that battle with Brandon Sperling. He started 17th.
This is 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And even 11th as we've got Brett Bell in there. That's Carl Scott in the white and blue with the yellow number 8. Jack Landis, the silver 07. Brandon Sperling in the black 51. The 7-time champ Mike Eddy in the black 88. The red 56 of Brett Bell coming along as well. And Buddy Schrock in the white with the blue numbers. That is the 35 running in 12. So a good fight in the back half of the top 10. Back to the front now.
Hansen had a 0.15 second lead. That's all he has now. It's a 0.162. It was a 1.5 second lead, but I think with Mike Miller hounding him like this, Hansen may be abusing those tires just a bit. He wanted to get out and set his own pace. Now he's got to worry about Miller trying to get around him.
Mike Miller hadn't won an ASA race in 15 years. Picks up 2 victories this year. Wonderful turnaround for that.
It's really a tribute to Carl Hyland and the crew. They're based near Atlanta, Georgia. They drive to every ASA event. Actually, Mike Miller, the driver of this race car, does drive the rig to each and every event. So they have about 2 or 3 days to turn things around. They have a spare car. And I believe this is the car they've been using for the majority of the season. It's been holding together well in the AFC 1000 Pontiac here. Doing good again on the ovals. The flat ovals. This car seems to shine. He's got his own design, front rear suspension. That really seems to work on the flat tracks.
Bill Baird about to go down a lap in car 26.
Baird started the afternoon in the 25th position to Center Machine Allen's Body Shop, K-Tech Chevrolet. We saw him a little altercation with Dennis Latman. He gathered it in, but it looks like that famous phrase, a loose condition, has Baird reeling it back to the leaders now. Unable to hold the car on the bottom, unable to get off the corner as quickly and as soon as he wants to with that gas pedal. Slows lap times down in a heartbeat, and Hansen's pace is pretty quick here.
Baird's giving the leaders room, but he's going to do everything he can to stay from going down a lap.
Bill unable to hold it down to the inside, so it looks like Hansen will try to take that lane.
Well, we had some questions last week as to whether or not Baird was down a lap or not. And it looks like we're about to have video proof that this week Bill either is or isn't.
This is slowing Scott Hansen's progress because, again, he's running that line middle to out. Mike Miller on the bottom. Now Hansen able to run to the inside of Baird again into turn 3. See how wide this racetrack is and how much room there is. They went all the way to the apron that time. There's rubber being built up with Bill Baird running the outside line, Hansen running the outside line to get around some lap traffic. So we'll see some two-through racing, I would say, in the next 50 laps or so.
So 43 laps completed. Baird gets a little loose, and now he is down a lap. So 43 laps completed. Scott Hansen continues to lead. Mike Miller, Gary Samon, and the rest giving chase here in the Pennsylvania 400.
This is the story of the man in black. The Goodwrench team keeps his car on track. You know their secret's consistency. It's all in the list. And if it takes all night, they'll get it done right. Turn to your GM Goodwrench service team for consistency and attention to detail. Their tools, training, equipment, and genuine GM parts let you run with the winners. To build the perfect ride, use a checklist as your guide. And always keep the customer satisfied.
Stock Car Cafe. Is it a stock car racing museum? You bet. Do famous drivers really come in there?
Yes, sir. We love great food, too.
It's the best in casual dining, in a family atmosphere, with some of the greatest racing fans in the world. And you might just make some new friends while you're there. The Stock Car Cafe, Charlotte, North Carolina. Coming soon to the rest of the world.
Royal Oak Charcoal is looking for a fan of the week, and it could be you. Just send a non-returnable snapshot of you and your friends having fun at the racetrack to Royal Oak Fan of the Week, P.O. Box 888979, Atlanta, Georgia 30356. If your picture's chosen, you'll win a professional Royal Oak Char Griller and Royal Oak Charcoal. So give us your best shot, and you could be the next Royal Oak Fan of the Week. Royal Oak Charcoal, good times in every big red bag.
We have a new leader at the Pennsylvania 400. His name is Mike Miller. There is the number 18 going around Aaron Huff. I'll show you how he did it as he took the lead away from Scott Hansen.
Keeping an inside line. Once again, he goes into the turn, free of lap traffic ahead of him. Hansen takes his line, sees Mike Miller down there, gives him a lane to run. We saw it already happen one time where Mike Miller went to the inside and got the lead. That's how he did it this time.
So Miller now leads Hansen. There's a look at the gap. It's about half a second back to Scott. St. Amant is third. Raines is fourth. Sawinski fifth. Loney sixth. Mike Eddy up to seventh and closing. Brandon Sperling still having a great run in the 51 and the 8. And there is Steve Holtzhausen in car number 5. He is listed at 20th after starting 32nd. This car is on the move.
On a rail. He led at lap 106 1 year ago. I just looked it up during our commercial break. He took the lead at lap 106, and that's before anybody pitted. So he passed 26 cars in 100 laps. He's at a pretty darn good pace. He's already passed 12 cars in 52 laps.
He's got Rick Beebe in car 23. Garvey having driven that car earlier this year. And Pat Bordeaux, the 44, making a rare appearance with the ASA this year.
Pat Bordeaux is a lap down. He's being helped, that Saginaw-based team out of Michigan, by Dan Crawford, longtime crew chief for Bob Seneca. Started the year with Dennis Berry. He's put the motor and the chassis together for Pat Bordeaux here in the second start of the season.
Joe Knott in front of them as well, and that Valvoline Raby Ford, number 48.
Well, Joe Knott started the afternoon in 4th position, but as Dave Burns documented the 5th, they have a loose condition. They're unable to hold the car on the bottom. He's drifted all the way back to 18th position.
And here's the fight for second, and San Juan to the outside will take it from Scott Hansen. Tony Raines trying to close in to do the same. So Hansen seeing positions dropping away. He might have overworked those tires, trying to hold off Mike Miller.
He had a quick pace early. Then he had to run all over the place, go to the inside and outside of traffic. Diced it back and forth with Mike Miller, but Miller again holding that inside line, more consistent racing line. Hansen had more of an outside line, longer way to get around the racetrack. And the rubber laid out there is Scott Hansen's right side tires working that racetrack.
Meanwhile, here comes Holzhausen still in that 5 car, the Tony's Pizza Machine, going to the front. Now let's set this up for you again. The story with the tire is these drivers and car owners go to the Goodyear truck, they buy tires. They don't know where those tires come from. If they don't use the tires, they can take them back. Goodyear credits them for them. They turn the tires back in.
Any team can do that.
Any team. So you can actually get tires that another team had at another race. Only one of the 4 tires on the car after qualifying was found to be illegal. ASA officials detected some sort of a soft tire, too soft for racing. So the question becomes, where did Holzhausen get the tire? They went through and checked all the other tires that the team had, and all the rest of the tires seemed to be okay. Unfortunately, there was an illegal tire on the car. Whether he had bought that tire and done something to it himself, the point is, the illegal tire was on the car. You go to the back of the field. Nothing the ASA officials could have done about it, no matter how you plead that case. And look who is up to 5th. The Good Wrench Service Pontiac coming strong. Now we have seen this car with 2 wins be very, very quick, but have bad problems with reliability.
He's had 2 wins this season and really forget-me-not the rest of the year, 7 DNFs. And now Mike Eddy on a racetrack he's won at, including this past July, hit one of his 2 victories came right here at Jennerstown, moves around Scott Hansen for that 4th position.
He got the season opener at Lakeland, the first win for the new Pontiac Grand Prix in the 1996 season in a major stock car sanctioning body event. And then went right to the back of the heap before getting another win at Jennerstown and then really struggling after that. Scott Hansen continues to drop back, and there's definitely something wrong with the performance on the 53. We'll have to see if we can find out what the story is when we come back to Jennerstown. So stay with us. Mike Eddy is on his way to the front. The fans are enjoying it here at Jennerstown.
How do you visualize your future? This or this? Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute and get on the fast track to success. Endorsed by all 5 major manufacturers, the MMI professionals will provide the technician training to give you control of your future.
I'm currently in charge of Team Suzuki Yoshimura's Supersport program. I wouldn't be here today without MMI on my resume.
Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute now to train for your future.
It's always fun to get to know baby animals.
You never know what they're gonna do. That's why your kids and you too will love watching Bonkers for Babies, exclusively from Time Life Kids.
One of the greatest pleasures in life is watching a child do what it does best, frolic around.
That's why your family will love Bonkers for Babies, specially priced at only $4.99. It's your first Zoo Life video, and it's not available in stores. Every Zoo Life video is packed with lots of animals and lots of fun. And if you order by credit card now, you'll get animal bloopers free.
You're going to see some of the funniest, craziest moments of my travels from around the world. Oh, gosh.
So go Bonkers for Babies. Call now.
There's no doubt in my mind that animals feel love.
To order, call 1-800-480-8338. Use your credit card and receive your animal bloopers video free, or send to this address.
Well, we are back to a yellow, the newly sponsored 31 Snow King backed entry of Rick Miller. It's in the wall.
Second caution of the afternoon, Rick Miller did a long slide down the backstretch, and that's the actual cutoff on the back straightaway. You see how hard he impacted the concrete there. He slid all the way across, and that barrier stopped his progress, but the Snow King car has the door ajar, and they don't open the door as they climb in through the window. but unfortunately he's got some hinge problems there. The cars are very structurally sound. The perimeter chassis is extremely strong. The midsection there held beautifully. Looking off the backstretch in the camera mounted inside turn number 3. See, just gets loose, and here he comes sliding down.
Is that Mike Miller he was racing with?
Could have been Mike Miller or Joe Knott. At that point, boom, hard impact to the left front and the driver's side.
Well, we said how Scott Hansen's been having problems. What's the story, Dave?
Well, guys, they changed right side tires on Scott Hansen's car. It appeared to be a little bit loose to me, even though he wasn't saying anything to his crew. At the same time, Joe Knott's Valvoline Ravy Ford crew got him in and out. They also replaced right side tires, trying to bring Joe back up through the pack.
Matt Bordeaux as well taking an opportunity to go down pit road. This is while we were at break. Gary St. Amant to the outside of Mike Miller with Harold Fair in front of him. He follows Harold right through Dennis Lampman and into the lead. Tony Raines on the outside will take second. And Mike Eddy came up to challenge for third with Miller.
Scott Hansen came in. Now we see the cars at least one lap down here, Ralph. And Pat Bordeaux is on lead lap. He came in for right sides and went back out.
So while the pit stops are completed here in Jennerstown, we'll take a quick break. There's your top 5. Mike Eddy now moving into second.
Meet the challenge. In the speed, eternal speed Grand Prix. Be the best as you can be. You know the best to defeat the best. You know the best as you can. Meet the challenge. Eternal speed Grand Prix.
Ain't nothing cooler than the blues. It's living the blues. Complete. Definitive. It's the kind of collection only Time Life could put together.
Could be a spoonful of coffee. Could be a spoonful of tea.
Start with Blues Legends and get 20 absolutely essential blues classics for just $9.99 on cassette or compact disc.
Further on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me.
Then audition other albums. Keep only the ones you want. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Reclaimed grocery, eggs.
The blues are hotter than ever. So call now.
Call 1-800-753-8877. Call now, and when you use your credit card, you'll also receive a free 10-minute long-distance collector's edition phone card, or send $9.99 plus $3.50 shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
And welcome back to more Green Flag Racing from Jennerstown as we get back into the throttle.
Quick caution, Rick Miller was able to rejoin this race. They taped up the door, climbed in the cockpit to make sure Rick was all right. He's at the tail end here, going single file. A little bit off the pace, but still continuing on.
Dave, what's the update on 31?
Well, the worst thing for Rick Miller is that when he tagged the wall, they lost the radio. Right now, his brother Dave, his crew chief in the pits, has no communication with Rick Miller.
The radio mounts where you would put your, I guess your cup holder on the door, or where your mirror goes on the passenger, on the inside of the door.
Mike Eddy challenging for the lead, trying to get to the inside is St. Amant. Seven-time champ trying to turn his season around here at the closing stages of 96 year. And this could be big for that manufacturer's battle as well. Pontiac wanting to hang on to that title. A guy like Mike Eddy is just the kind of guy you need to pick up a lot of points for him.
They've scored the last 2 seasons, did Pontiac, and now trying to garner a top 3 position. That's how they keep track of manufacturers' cup points. They get 3 points to a win, 2 for a second, 1 for third. The way it looks now, Pontiac's outnumbered the board.
Pontiac's in the hands of Mike Eddy. loose, and that allows the two Pontiacs to go through, and maybe Brad Loney as well in another one. Pontiacs could happen. They could have all top 4 positions here.
Mike Eddy becomes the 5th different race leader, taking the lead away from Mike Miller. 78 laps clicked off this time.
Dr. Yale Conley bringing the number 3 down pit road. The Simonton Windows car in. They're looking under the hood. And Eddy now battling with Mike Miller. So it's Mike Eddy, Mike Miller, Brad Loney, St. Amant, Tony Raines, your top 5. Brandon Sperling in 6th, Brett Bell in 7th. Seneca is 8th. Tom Jones in 9th. And the 5 car of Holzhausen all the way up to 10th.
Mike Eddy has 4 wins on this racetrack, and in 9 races have led an unbelievable 1,154 laps coming into this event. Far and away more than any other driver here.
We done racing yet?
Well, Mike Eddy having a pretty good run here today. Any idea, Dave, what might be helping him get the lead?
Well, 2 things, Ralph. Down right here is Oreo. This little hunting dog was 3 pounds earlier this year when Mike won here at Jennerstown. Now, guess what Oreo's favorite toy is? It's a pink monkey. And this is the monkey that they hope to get off of Mike Eddy's back and get him another victory here today. Oreo is now 22 pounds and ready for another win.
And a good hunting season with Mike, I would think. An avid hunter, Mike Eddy. The fight for 6 is a pretty good one going on behind him between a couple of young hot shots in this series. Brett Bell in the Wonderbar 56, the Ultra Custom Wheels 51 at Brandon Sperling.
Sperling showing a great run again, back with his own team, and Brett Bell, that Wonderbar dispensing Ford going to the inside. Sperling started up farther than did the 56 car, but Sperling started 10th, had worked his way into 7th now, or excuse me, 6th, and now is drifting back a bit with Seneca on the move.
Bob Seneca, the 84, gets inside, and the 0, the yellow, red, and blue 0 of Tom Jones. Justice Brothers back entry coming into position now.
Color of the 0 car is Jim Daly. Familiar colors, he's had Steve Carlson and Bobby Gill in the car this year. This car had Steve Holzhausen behind the wheel 1 year ago. That's the car Holzhausen went from the back to the front and led with for a while. Jim Daly saw the race last weekend and said, you know what, I called Jonesy up and said, Jonesy, why don't you run my car? I can see you're hurting a little bit. Your car's been damaged. You flipped the car earlier this year. Let's try out my car and see how it goes. It's going pretty good.
Yeah, Jones has put a lot of laps in on this racetrack. Has won here before his only ASA victory, coming right here in Jennerstown in front of the hometown crowd. There's Holzhausen as he keeps sliding up through the field. The year that Jones won his ASA race here was the year that Johnny Benson clinched the championship. Right here at Jennerstown. This used to be the season finale. The last few years, we won't wrap things up until mid-November. The teams will get a couple of weeks off. We'll gather them all back up in mid-November in Kenley, North Carolina, the new Southern National Speedway. Decide the title then. It's kind of tough on these guys, giving them 3 or 4 weeks off.
That race is November 17th, and Pontiac has rented the track the next couple of days. A lot of these Pontiac teams are loading up and heading straight south to near Raleigh, North Carolina, where the Southern National Speedway will let Pontiac do a couple-day test. ASA is also a lot of time all day Friday of event weekend for these guys to dial their cars in a 4 or 5 hour practice session. So Mike Eddy is not going to go with the Pontiacs, but you might see the 0 car here with Jim Daly and Tom Jones heading south. We get some laps of practice in at Kenley before that season finale.
Some other drivers have rented Kenley on their own as well, such as Eddie Sharp has rented it for some personal tests. They get ready for the season finale. There's a look. The battle up front between a pair of Pontiacs. Mike Eddy, Mike Miller, going at it. Pennsylvania 400 after 89 laps of racing.
You know, ideas and inventions come from people in all walks of life, and most of the century's top inventions came from individuals, not companies. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? Are you interested in trying to submit your idea to companies for a good faith review and in trying to patent it as well? If so, Invention Submission Corporation has information to help you get started. ISC is America's largest inventor service firm with over 50 offices nationwide. Call this toll-free number now to see how to get this free information. The information includes forms to assure confidentiality, a form to record and date your idea, plus an informative brochure that explains how to submit your idea to companies through ISC's data bank and how to apply for a patent. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product, you'll want to call now for ISC's free information.
For your free inventor's information, call Invention Submission Corporation now at 1-800-522-5333. That's 1-800-522-5333.
Tired of cheap substitutes?
Well, hang on! It's Prime World Championship Wrestling. The real deal. The biggest hams and body slams and faces only a mother could love.
Catch the action Mondays on this regional sports network.
Fans here in the grandstands at Jennerstown Speedway enjoying a beautiful fall day. You see a lot of Rick Miller fans out here today. Rick packing the pits right now, the Snow King 31. Continuing to have repairs is Mike Eddy. Continues to lead Mike Miller, Brad Logan, Gary St. Amant, Tony Raines, the top 5. Seneca, Bell, Jones, Sawinski, and Sperling, the top 10.
As we reach the lap 100 point, we're looking at Mike Eddy, who started 17th and has now moved into the lead. Mike Miller running in second there as we get a lap on Mike Eddy with worn tires. It's extremely quick as well.
Which is the key, because what we want to check is what John said about consistency. So let's see what Mike Eddy can do on old tires. Now, the thing to note about Mike is that he only practices on old tires. He sets his car up the way he knows it will have to be during the race. With an 18.6-second lap, not bad.
Not bad at all. The pole speed was an 18.735 seconds. So today it's gotten quicker. You would think because the track has a lot more rubber down on the racetrack. Qualifying yesterday afternoon was a rather breezy event. It was about 10 degrees cooler yesterday as well. It's now running faster than full speed.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to get him the next lap. Now, he's got a slower car, Randy Ruhlman, in front of him. Ruhlman in the 49 is listed at 2 laps down right now. Great ASA scoring.
Talking to Randy's crew earlier this weekend, the Freeform Line Products Ford driver is a Trans Am veteran. He's a road racer. He's trying to get used to these ovals. He said if he had markers counting down to the corners, Randy might be getting in the corners better because he's certainly getting off the turns well, but he just cannot get that entry down pat on the ovals.
See the rest of the field going by on the front straightaway. And Mike will be coming off turn number 4 here in a minute. And a little slower that time, but he did have slower traffic in front of him as well. Andy Bazell there in the 83 car. Still listed at 25th.
Danny Cookson, the owner of that car, looking for sponsorship for 1997, hopefully going for a rookie run. The Michigan-based team trying to make the step up to ASA.
So Mike Eddy, obviously consistent, which is what we've heard from a former winner here on the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour at the Speedway. That is the key, as we're a fourth of the way done. Now, the only question about Mike Eddy is reliability. I mean, that's the thing that's bitten him all year, Jim.
Mike Eddy's had some motor problems. He's had a distributor problem haunting for 3 races, including Milwaukee and Minnesota State Fair. His season has not been a stellar one. Yes, he has 2 victories on the year, but intermingled with that a lot of heartbreak. 32nd place finish, a 28th place finish in Minnesota and Kaukauna. That has really hurt his chances. He's been outside the top 10 in points, I believe, since the 8th or 9th event of the year.
And he was physically hurt as well.
Had a rib injury that he aggravated at IRP when he crashed into the front stretch wall while running with the leaders.
And that fight, what put him into the wall, was a battle between him and Mike Miller, and those two now running first and second. How are the track conditions out there, Dave?
Well, Ralph, there's a couple of changes since July. There are about 3 patches on the track, including one in turn 3, which looks innocent enough, but that it's really quite a bit to handle. When the drivers drive in there, they say you want to hit it aggressively. Don't coast through it, but try to keep the throttle on through it. The problem is, it's so far into the turn that by the time this track loosens up later in the race, it's going to take a lot of bravery to drive through that. If you do coast through it, you have a real chance of upsetting the car and getting loose going into the turn. So the patch is one change to the track that may cause some problems by the time this thing winds out.
Something we'll have to keep our eyes on later on as this track loosens up. You see Mike, I mean, for any other driver, that would be a tremendous season. 2 wins, 2 poles, just outside of the top 10 in points. As you look at the battle for 9th between Sawinski in the 1 and Sperling in the 51 and Holzhausen in the 5. But when you've won 7
wins the race at Berlin earlier this year. He's had a number of top 5 finishes, and he's run well here at this racetrack. He was a threat as soon as he signed on board with that 5 car to win some races, and he's proven that this team is a winning caliber effort.
Some questions as to exactly how that team, the 5 team, is going to be put together next year. They all seem happy with each other, but there's been some rumors and conversations about the forming of that team for the 97 season.
Don Fenne's race shop is based in Franklin, Wisconsin, which is a southern suburb of Milwaukee. Rick Skelzo's operation, which Steve Holtzhausen had been driving for on and off, is based well up 4.5 hours north of La Crosse, almost past the Twin Cities in Wisconsin. So it's quite a ways up. Rice Lake, Wisconsin is a 4.5 hour drive. So that team is a team, but the cars kept in Rice Lake. They also work out a Fenne shop for air cars down the line. So two guys in both sides that come together on race weekend. And it really hasn't hurt the team, but you're right, it could be a whole different story next season.
No doubts about Mike Eddy for 97. The Goodrich Service Pontiac, number 88, will be back running out of his shops in Midland, Michigan. And he's leading here, Pennsylvania 400. 109 laps in the books.
Mother's California Gold.
Turn up the volume. It's Classical Thunder, the most explosive collection of music you've ever heard. Get Classical Thunder on 2 cassettes for just $14.99 or 2 compact discs for $16.99. Then you can preview other Classical Favorites albums. Satisfaction guaranteed. Classical Thunder. Call now.
To order Classical Thunder, call 1-800-720-5353 or send $14.99 for 2 cassettes or $16.99 for 2 CDs, plus $3.50 shipping to the address on your screen.
Getting stock cars airborne at Jennerstown is becoming a regular thing with the American Speed Association. That is Tom Jones's Zero. The 5 car of Holzhausen is torn up, and Randy Ruhlman, and one other car I believe is Bob Dorsowitz. Wait till you see how this took place on the backstretch.
Holzhausen had been running up into the top 10 and very consistently picking off competitors.
We're going to show you the pit stops first as the leaders get set to come down and take advantage of this. There's Mike Eddy's car going to work. Is his crew with Howard Thomas leading them, Dave.
Yep, they're getting in on the right side, getting those right side Goodyear Eagles changed first. A little bit of a traffic jam here as Jack Landis has nowhere to go. Mike Eddy's going to drop down off the jacks, but he's going to be blocked in. He puts it in reverse, and now he'll run over the air hose. He'll try to beat Tony Raines out, and it's a drag race down the pit road. Guys, there is not a speed limit heading out of here, and I can't see what happened down at the end there. Who won?
Wow, Tony Raines got out first, Dave, but that is visions of Milwaukee last year. Mike got blocked in by a tow truck, and he will not be happy about that. And going over the air hose.
ASA has the call there. If you do run over air hose, ASA rules mandate a stop-and-go penalty once the cars go back to green. So we'll see if that will be enforced, or because of that tight configuration,
they might give him a break.
They might give him a break, yeah. Wow. A few breaks he'll have this season if it does hold up.
Now watch this. That's Randy Ruhlman spinning in the 49.
Right in front of the field here.
There's Dorsowitz.
Dorsowitz hard on the brakes. He sees the zero to the inside. Jonesy trying to get to the end. Ooh, hard impact there. Dorsowitz sends Jones to the fence. Now, keep your eye on the zero car. Spectacular up on the wall for the 3rd time this season with Tom Jones. Straddling.
Unreal as he just slides it right along. There's some skateboarders around the country that think Jonesy is their hero now. Absolutely amazing. Look at the water spewing out of the radiator.
Car comes to a crashing halt there.
Now there's Jack Landis' car, the Noah Yoder Ford, just in front of him. Dropping it in reverse over the air hose. You can see the air hose right underneath it, and he spins it out, and Raines just beats it.
Mike Miller was the quickest on that pit stop. He beat out Dave Sensiva, Bob Seneca, Tony Raines, and Mike Eddy. Gary St. Amant, Pat Bordeaux, Brett Bell, and Brad Loney also coming down pit lane.
Great action here as we have just gotten past the 1/4 marker, the Jennerstown Speedway with the Pennsylvania 400. Make sure you come back to this one.
Just how long does a car battery last? About this much time is put into most batteries. But AC-Delco puts in more time, so our batteries last over 20% longer. Well, now there's the Delco Freedom 84, our longest-lasting battery ever. We put in 7 years of guaranteed starts, making it the granddaddy of all batteries.
Hey, my watch!
When Ron Hornaday Jr. is on the track in his Napa brake parts truck, he doesn't even think about stopping.
Man, Ron's flying today. Hey, it's Earnhardt. His wife called. Said something about an anniversary.
But when Ron hits the street, he relies on Napa brake parts. Because like all Napa parts, they're as good as you can get. Napa, we keep America running and stopping.
As the psychic solution travels around the country, more and more people are discovering just how real their psychics are.
She knew I was pregnant, and he doesn't even know yet. I can't believe that she knew something so personal.
I didn't feel like she was a stranger because she knew so much about me.
I'm going to go home personally and tell a lot of people about this. I mean, it's so easy, you know, just go home and call.
She's someone that I would like to talk to on a weekly basis.
Real psychic advice is only a phone call away, so get your free sample reading now.
Call 1-800-994-5837.
It's been pretty exciting here the last few laps of the Jennerstown Speedway. We've been trying to fly some stock cars down the backstretch. Apparently something hanging off the back right corner of the number 18. Mike Miller, you can see it dangling over there. What is it, Dave? Any idea?
Well, they said that happened from earlier in the day when they got into Scott Hansen, just a little bit of a bump, and they ripped part of the fender off of the 18 AFC 1000 car, so it shouldn't be any problem for Mike Miller.
These are fiberglass body panels on these cars. It's only about $2,500, $3,000 to skin an entire car, so it's a pretty cheap piece to put one of these together. It's a beautiful job. The bodies only come from 1 or 2 makers.
Five-star manufacturer in West Salem, Wisconsin. Yeah, it's a great job. They actually take a production car into their shop. When the Pontiac came out with a new design, they're fortunate enough to get one shipped over from Detroit before they were released to the public. They made the mold physically from the production car. I saw pictures of it. They just waxed it down with some soap, got the molds, and made this body.
And Tony Raines, the 87 car, right now listed in 16th position. What's the story on him, Dave?
Well, oddly enough, a lot of guys were complaining that their cars were tight today. The track doesn't seem to be loosening up like they said it was going to, like it normally does. On the other hand, Tony Raines' car was loose, and so they turned some wedge into the car. They changed right side tires and reduced the stagger. So they hope Tony will tighten up just a little bit. But he had a real difficult time. The car turned too easily going into the corners for Tony Raines.
So the crews continue to clean up Randy Roman's car on the back straightaway. And the team's just watching as their drivers continue to lap around after 120 laps.
This is the story of the man in black, and the Goodwrench team keeps his car on track. You know their secret's consistency. It's all in the list. And if it takes all night, they'll get it done right. Turn to your GM Goodwrench service team for consistency and attention to detail. Their tools, training, equipment, and genuine GM parts let you run with the winners. To build the perfect ride, use a checklist as your guide. And always keep the customer satisfied.
The Stock Car Cafe. Is it a stock car racing museum? You bet. Do famous drivers really come in there?
Yes, sir. We love great food, too.
It's the best in casual dining, in a family atmosphere, with some of the greatest racing fans in the world. And you might just make some new friends while you're there. The Stock Car Cafe, Charlotte, North Carolina, and coming soon to the rest of the world.
We are back to the Jennerstown Speedway. Take a look at a photograph that was taken a year or so back. Aerial view of the racetrack. Absolutely beautiful countryside around this racetrack, and all the fall foliage, the colors just raging across the hillsides here. It makes an absolutely spectacular drive out to the racetrack, the town of Somerset, where we stay. Now, Tom Jones has had quite a year trying to fly one of these AC-Delco Challenge Series cars. Now, the boys down in the truck have done a great job, Bo Gray and Jimmy Wilson, of putting together a quick highlight of Jonesy's season. That's Jonesy going upside down at Cedar Rapids just a couple of weeks back. Here he is at Toledo in the Zero.
This little pirouette.
The rear end dancing through the sky, losing tires. And then moments ago, TJ, the Zero hero. We make light of it, but only because we know Jonesy's okay. Right up and over.
What if the guys enjoyed Chitwood Thrill Show are watching?
Jonesy, we can get you a job. Dave Burns, how is our frequent flyer?
Well, Tom has flown a little bit more this year than I think he'd like to talk about. For the first time, the body parts that came off weren't his. You had a new ride this weekend. Things were looking good, but what happened out there?
Well, it was a car that shouldn't be racing even. Got in the way again, spun out, knocked another car in my way, and I was there. There was nothing I could do. I got hit. And it's about the third race in a row that it seems like I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And, you know, we had a real good car today. JB, Justice Brothers, Gillen Carr, Pace Jacks, Pontiac. You know, it's a shame. I mean, we were running in the top 10 and just had a real good race car, and it's just a shame that had to happen.
Now, Tom, this car has run well all season under Jim Daly's directorship. Are you going to run this one at Kenley?
Well, I don't know. It needs a lot of work now, but we'll see. We'll wait and see here. It's just, you know, it depends. It wasn't my fault, but, boy, he's got a lot of work to do on this thing, too. You know, it's just a shame.
Okay, Tom is okay. Now, a guy whose car is not okay is Brandon Sperling's guys. He was having a great run, but they have bent an upper A-frame on the right front end of that car. They're trying to straighten it out and get Brandon back up to speed.
Brandon listed in 23rd right now.
He was running as high as 10th, and he and Steve Holtzhausen also caught up in that event as they were running just at the back end of the top 10. Holtzhausen with a flat right front tire was able to get back in action.
Okay, well, they are just about done cleaning up the backstretch, so we'll step out one more time so we can bring you back to live green flag racing, Jennerstown Speedway, right after this.
Discover the amazing training secrets of America's finest baseball school with Dynamic Practice Organization, a revolutionary new instructional videotape. Dynamic Practice Organization features professional scout and instructor Tommy Mansky with his famous building block approach to athletic training. This exciting instructional videotape features the same drills, techniques, and methods that have produced baseball world's back-to-back-to-back AAU national championship teams. Dynamic Practice Organization makes any coach look like a genius and organizes offensive and defensive practices that players of all ages and ability levels can't wait to attend. And immensely improves team communication skills and even conditioning. This is the instructional video that's a winner. To order your copy for only $29.95, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-238-3100. The Dynamic Practice Organization teaching video makes a great gift, too. Call now 1-800-238-3100.
News, views, stats, and checks. Football fan? Fred's your man. You want the scoop? Hang with Fred. Get in the loop. You know, get the inside scoop on DirecTV Pro Football Insider. Fridays on your regional sports network.
We are back to Jennerstown, and there are some huge fans of Tony Raines. See the guy on the left here? The older guy?
Yep.
He used to drive the truck when Tony Raines ran for Ernie Roselli, so we know he's a big Tony Raines fan. One of our good buddies. Good to see him back. I look at all the autographs on his hat. You know he's having fun out here. That's the great thing about ASA Racing. They let all the fans down onto the racetrack before the start of the race, so you can collect autographs from all of your favorite drivers, get picture cards and all that. Then you go back up into the grandstands, and you can watch and cheer for the guy who you met just moments ago. I think that is a great thing that they allow the fans to do. Of course, they let them back down after the race as well, once the cars have had a chance to cool. Victory Lane celebration has been completed.
One leader, Tony Raines, had the longest line for two reasons. He's leading the points, real popular guy right now, and he lived in this area for 4 years while running out of Pennsylvania at Ernie Roselli's ETR shop. So Raines has a lot of fans here in the Pennsylvania area.
The M&M guy loves M&Ms but won't eat any until the race is over, especially the green ones. If you know anything about racing superstition. We're back to green flag. Watch the field come through on your left, and in the small box you see the leader already storming down the back straightaway. Leader, of course, is Mike Miller. Could he possibly get his first ASA win here today?
Boy, Sensiva sure has been strong at this facility. He was locked in a point battle for the Rookie of the Year chase with Brian Refner. Refner won the pole for that race in 1994, but Sensiva came back and finished in the runner-up position to clinch the Pat Shire Memorial Rookie of the Year title. So he knows how to run around this racetrack, and Bud Gibbon has prepared an excellent car. This crew has gotten extremely quick on pit stops. He's been able to beat out the rest of the field. All the left cars pitted. Mike Miller is the only guy quicker than Sensiva's crew to get him back on the racetrack in second.
You're taking a look at the field after 130 laps. Joe Knott, car number 48, celebrating his birthday here today. Joe only 24. That's obnoxious.
Already 24. It's just obnoxious. Youngest full-time driver in ASA. And Gibb said, I was born on Friday the 13th, and today's the 13th. Maybe I get a win for these guys. I want to go 2 this year, at least.
Good young driver, Joe Knott, going to have a real strong career in ASA.
He'll be back in 1997 as well. He's looking for some great runs. He said they want to run for the championship next season and let it slip away just a bit with some mid-season problems. Not some real bad finishes, but the great runs by Tony Raines, Scott Hansen, Bob Seneca on a more consistent basis have beaten Joe Knott to the points title, at least the cluster up top for the championship.
There's the fight for fourth between Tony Raines, Mike Eddy, and Gary St. Amant. The car that Eddy is driving here this week is the car that he won with at Salem back in 1994. That primary car that he tried to qualify to, of course, remember he destroyed it down there. Mike feels that this car is good enough that he just kept this one tuned up instead of rebuilding his primary car, and is running it again here. In fact, Joe Knott doing the same thing, running his backup car, which he ran at Salem as well.
And this actual race car was set up for Jennerstown. They pulled the loader out to take the Salem as a spare, and then bringing the car down. And speaking of hunting, his crew member, Dave Myers, the Jackman, was almost out the door after spending all day hunting with his son and Matt Eddy, the 14-year-old son of Mike Eddy. They were out hunting all day long. They're just about to leave to come to the racetrack in Salem. They got a phone call. Mike Eddy probably got them by 5 minutes, otherwise they'd been down the road without the spare car.
There's some question about the durability of the motor in the 87 as well.
88 car is a Whitener power plant, and there has been a change with the 87 crew. They've been Whitener engines for quite a while. They've now put a K-Tech in the car, but this is the 4th straight race on that motor.
Be interesting to see how long that motor survives without it being freshened up. There is the 18 and the 84 battling for the lead now as Seneca has gotten past Sensiva and now challenges Miller. We call him the sneaker, and as we said at the beginning of the show, he has snuck his way into this points chase. The Bluebird, the 84, coming on strong. Lane Automotive, JR Automation, Mechanics Wear, number 84. That car is a player every time it hits the racetrack.
3 wins of this racetrack. He's won in dominating fashion. In 1990, he won the first race run here in his championship season. Came back in 1995 to sweep the events here at Jennerstown.
82 career wins, so winning his primer on the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour. As he takes the lead, he'll pick up 5 bonus points and continue his hunt for his second career ASA title. Hard to believe a driver with 82 career victories only has 1 AC-Delco Challenge Series title.
What we talk about for this race, 400 laps being consistent. Mike Eddy has been more consistent over the years and has run more full-time events for ASA. Bob Seneca, based out of Dorr, Michigan, had run a number of events outside of ASA. When ASA had similar body rules and configurations to a super late model, he ran where the money was. Mike Eddy did more ASA point racing, thus 7 championships.
Mike Miller has never won the title, has been a player in this series for years. Ran years ago when the ASA, the big names on the tour, of course, were Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca and Mike Miller, but there's also guys like Dick Trickle and Butch Miller and
Dave Watson, all those guys.
A lot of other big name drivers that used to compete, Alan Kowicki and Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin, all competing in the ranks of the ASA series back then. Now that fight for third gets to be pretty hot. Mike Miller had taken some years off, came back just a couple of years ago and has turned out to be one of the big dogs on the tour once again. Well, look at that, side-by-side racing for both first and second and third and fourth.
Eddy trying to get to the inside of Sensiva, the West Michigan Chevrolet dealer. Chevy trying to hang on, but Eddy, it looks like he's got a better car at this point. Sticks his nose down there. Again, it's been at least a couple laps of this action, and we're going to see this develop throughout the afternoon. We're only 145 laps into this thing.
And so far, no problems have fallen on any of the leaders in the point standings. Scott Hansen is fighting his way back into this one. He is in 8th right now. And most of the leaders of the point standings are all in this. Oh, and Tony Race, just as I say that, gets together with Gary St. Amant and spins around over in turn 2. I don't know if there's any bodywork damage to the car. He stayed off the wall. He's got it going. He's definitely going to have some flat-spotted tires. Well, when you race that close for that many laps, if you break concentration just for a second, disaster is just around the corner.
In a situation like that, both these drivers are very experienced on this racetrack. They've competed in all 9 events here. It may have been Raines lifting momentarily because he was in the outside groove. St. Amant was on the gas. They made contact. We'll have to find out if that's the story from Tony. This might be a costly blow here if Raines has anything knocked just a tick out of alignment.
Wow, just as I was saying that none of the leaders in the point standings have had any problems, look at what happens to Tony Raines. And we'll have to check on Gary St. Amant's car, too, because if he got him with the nose of that car, there could be problems for Gary. And they're all pitting. All of the leaders making their way down pit road. Well, let's see what happens with the pit stops now. Dave Burns is in Gary St. Amant's pit.
Well, of course, the worst thing about this is they can only change 2 tires. They've decided to go to the left side. The crew barely got out of the tires out of the truck. They were not ready for this pit stop. Meanwhile, Tony Raines will go to the left side as well. He is down and away.
Boy, for a group that was not ready for a pit stop, they got Gary out first. And Mike Eddy had it much easier this time. He was not blocked in by Jack Landis' crew. In fact, Landis is having trouble getting the car in reverse to get out. Brett Bell struggling. Dave Sensible having a horrendous pit stop. Trouble with the right rear on the 4 car, and he finally leaves pit lane. And Tony Raines coming back to the bottom. Looks like things maybe not all perfect with the 87.
Raines came out 4th on that pit stop of all the lead lap cars that did pit. Bob Seneca, Scott Hansen did not pit, neither did Ted Smokestead or Buddy Schrock. Rick Beebe also on lead lap elected to stay out, as did Carl Muscatton.
All right, let's take a look at this. Now watch Raines in the 87.
Tony was going to the inside.
Looks like he's got it loose there, Jim.
Tried to gather back in, and Gary just...
Well, I wonder if he was on the brakes because it looked like he was closing in on Mike Eddy a little bit there too fast.
Eddy might have had to lift with the car on the outside.
You're right. I think you're right. And then Gary just a racing incident here.
Sensible and Eddy running side by side. This is, again, going into the turn, into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, right about there. Mike on the brakes.
Raines elects to go behind Mike Eddy. St. Amant right in the backside.
And Brett Bell does a great job of missing it in the 56. Nice bit of driving by Brett.
Good run for that Wonder Bar Dispensing 14, running top 10 thus far.
Due to the pit stop, he has dropped back to 18th, but again, that was just due to the pit stops.
Tony Roper's crew also beating out Mike Eddy on that round of pit stop. Kevin Sawinski, this is his 3rd time down pit lane. So he's got 2 sets of right side tires already cycled on that car, and then fresh laps.
Steve Holzhausen was involved in that high-flying wreck that took out Tom Jones. How's he doing, Dave?
Well, guys, for a crew that does not have a chance at the championship this year, these guys are working awfully hard to get back in the race. I mean, we've got parts everywhere around here, shocks laying all over, and Steve is standing with us. Steve, what's the main part of the damage to the car?
Well, we got some right front suspension damage. That's the worst, but the guys are really pumped up. They wanted to win this race bad from the back of the pack, and it's unfortunate for the Tony's Frozen Pizza, Giant Eagle, Ford Thunderbird. I mean, we're laying back. We didn't have the strongest car at the time, but I think with a couple of pit stops, we'd have been right in there.
Now, Steve, there are some hard hits on this car. I mean, on the right side, the fiberglass was completely broken through and the frame bent. You didn't think it was that hard a hit, but are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, the frame's in good shape. We just have some bolt-on parts to replace, and we'll go back out and see what we can do.
Okay, well, Steve's okay. The car is going to be okay in just a little while as this crew goes to work.
So they'll continue to work on Steve Holzhausen's number 5, see if they can get him back out, pick up some laps, maybe pick up some more pocket money, too. That's Made 400 continues right after this.
If you settle for a remanufactured engine without a brand name, be sure you've got a pair of name brand shoes. AC-Delco engines, the national brand name with the nationwide warranty. Call for a location near you. Of course, if you come in on foot, we'll understand.
The hum of the saw, the wail of the drill, the rhythm of the plane. If you love the music of woodworking, listen to this free TV offer. It's 101 shop tips, packed with secrets from the pros like a jig for routing evenly spaced dados, straightening uneven edges. You'll get 101 time-saving tips, and you get it free when you order cabinet making for just $9.99. Packed with hundreds of full-color photos and illustrations, cabinet making shows you how to master every cabinetry technique and get picture-perfect results. Preview future volumes from The Art of Woodworking with no commitment to buy. Use your credit card and get this video, Shop Secrets from Master Craftsman, free. So call now to order cabinet making for just $9.99 and get 101 shop tips free. Use your credit card and get your free Shop Secrets video. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-450-9797. Ask for cabinet making for just $9.99 plus $4.25 shipping and handling and receive your free 101 shop tips. Call now.
We are back to the Jennerstown Speedway. Scott Hansen has climbed back into second, but he's chasing the Bluebird. Bob Seneca leading.
Carl Muscott comes down pit lane. The ASA Chevrolet has a left rear flat, it appears. Could be a little worse than that, unfortunately, for Muscott. A great run going south of the green flag pit stop.
Boy, what a shame. The crew are going to have to get under there and pick the car up so they get the jack under. A true sign that there is a flat tire on that left side. Carl having a great job here this afternoon. No word. It looks like he's going to be losing that ADESA sponsorship at the end of the year. He's looking for a new sponsor. Bob Seneca is JR Automation, Lane Automotive Mechanics wear car, running up in the lead. Hansen, right where he needs to be in the points chase as well.
Back on track. These drivers came into this series third and fourth in the points. Hansen had the point lead just 2 races ago and has now dropped to 177 markers back heading into this weekend. Behind Tony Raines.
You know, Jim, usually we get to a race and a lot of times you and I can sit here, we can look at a car and we can say, you know, this guy is going to be a player by the time the day is over. I mean, you get a pretty good idea as you close in on the halfway point who's going to be a contender and who's not. But so many cars here this afternoon have been up front and been players in this one. I really, at this point, have no idea who looks to be the car to predict in the end is going to be the winner. As you look at Gary St. Amant going around Bill Baird with Mike Miller, I mean, Seneca and Hansen and St. Amant and Raines and Eddie and Miller, they've all been players at one point in time. Dave Sensible, I think every one of those guys at this point really still stands a chance at a victory, even though they might be as far back as 10th right now, Mike Eddie.
And throwing the wild card of Buddy Schrock running third down the team Untitled Chevrolet. He's just ahead of Rick Beebe looking for his first ASA victory, the rookie of the year a year ago for the St. Louis Gear designated hitter Chevrolet. Those guys are players. Jack Landis and Brett Bell, 2 rookies on the season, have maintained lead lap status. They're just knocking the door for a top 10 run this afternoon.
Smokestack, the Super American car, runs in third in car number 32, and Brad Loney is in 8th, looking for his second victory. And once you get one victory, the second one seems to come pretty easy. And there's Brad battling with Tony Raines. Raines with the Clean Burn sponsorship on the number 87. How'd you like to work for those folks? The folks at Clean Burn told all their employees, hey, if you go out to the race at Jennerstown, buy a ticket and cheer on our boy Tony Raines, we'll give you Monday off. No way, I'm telling you, 75 fans from Clean Burn took them up on the deal. They've all got tomorrow off, and they're out enjoying a great day of AC-Delco Challenge Series racing. Tony Raines running for a win.
top will have to be equipment stays underneath.
Well, the Snow King machine, Rick Miller had some problems early on. Dave is with it.
Rick, this season, then we have... Rick, we know you got into the incident there. That didn't put you out by the... Was it a motor problem?
Yeah, it was motor related there. Snow King extruded hub Chevy wasn't running a little too bad. We're a little bit loose, and then the guy just went around back there in the back straight away. We were going to tighten the car, but we thought we were okay. Then the motor broke up. Something in the motor broke. That ruined our day.
Okay, well, he's doing a little bit of R&D work for a guy named Ray Baker, who's getting back into ASA, and he'll give Ray a suspect, so to speak, to work with.
Mike Eddy working Mike Miller. Two Pontiacs have at it. The fight for 8. And look, I told you Reigns was going to catch St. Amant. He did it. I think Garrett's going to get room. Oh, yeah. And Mike Eddy is going to get around Mike Miller. And Carl Muscott, who's a lap down at this point.
Scott had a great run, had to come in for a flat left tire under green just after a restart where everyone else had fresh tires, meaning their pace was even quicker, so he went down a couple of laps fixing that problem.
Reigns has gotten around St. Amant, by the way, taking over that position. That moves Tony up into 5th.
Pat Bordeaux is on lead lap in 12th position, according to ASA, so good run for that Saginaw base team.
We got to give a special birthday wish out to Becky Robbins, wife of President Rex Robbins of the ASA Series. Becky had a birthday yesterday. We would tell you her age, but of course, we would never be allowed to another ASA race again.
Last time you hear Ralph Sheehan's voice on the air, yes.
So we will just wish Becky, one of our favorites, a happy birthday. She lost the battle for 7.
I was going to say it's a battle, but a short-lived one is Mike Eddy with fresher tires came in on that last caution. We've had 4 cautions this afternoon. He comes in, gets fresh right side tires. Schrock's trying to stay out. He's got a Speed Racer above that door, and those guys are eating where we were eating last night. They had a bunch of chicken wings sitting in front of them. Buddy and Don Schrock and the whole crew had a great time last night. We're trying to hanker down and eat some wings. They like wings, and they liked what they had last night.
I might point out you had a bunch of wings in front of you.
Yes, I did. I didn't have 3 of them. Well, you had more wings than I did.
Well, I don't know. You had the Angus burger going pretty good, too. Mike Miller. Yeah, he goes to work on Buddy Schrock. Makes quick work of it, too, it looks like.
He made a pit stop as well, and this will play out. A lot of teams that are working on their strategies have stopwatches going constantly. There's 2 or 3 on a single clipboard for some of these team scores that stand in the pit lane, not the scores from the race cars themselves, but assistants on pit lane are critical. Howie Leto, I once won with his team with Scott Hansen to a short track race. He had me clock every lap, and when Hansen started falling off the pace, then he knew he needed to make some changes. A lot of these guys continue to lap each and every lap of their own car, and they have stopwatches going on everybody else. So when you see the 18 car go flying by the 35 of Schrock, that may play into a tire strategy later on, saying new tires make that much of a difference.
Here's your leader, still out front, the Bluebird, Bob Seneca. He's got a 1.2-second lead on Hansen right now. There's the fight for 4th, Rick Beebe in the 23. Tony Reigns blows right on Reigns' coming.
Fastest car on the racetrack right now is the 87 of Reigns, the AFCO Racing Products Pontiac.
Man, he just sailed right around him. And he's getting through the corners exceptionally well. That's where he's making up all the gap. Right in the center of the turn. Able to get in deep, get on the gas, and drive out of there. And the turns here are a big part of this racetrack. You spend a lot of time in the turns here at Jennerstown. So getting through the turns is a key to success at this racetrack. Pitched it in there that time, didn't he?
Now, in that last pit stop, for example, Bob Seneca, Dave Sensabai, and Mike Miller all beat Reigns out of the pits. The only guy that's still ahead of them is the 84 of Bob Seneca. So those 2 guys have checked out on the rest of the competitors that just came in for pit stops.
It is physically possible for Reigns to clinch the title here this weekend, but it's awfully darn difficult.
And it's unfortunately a problem for Dave Sensabai. He's now dropped off the pace. Speaking of championship run, he had an outside shot at it. Sensabai slowing on the racetrack.
Meanwhile, Reigns picks off Smokestack. But for him to do that, I mean, just about everybody else would have to have fallen out by now.
You never know. He already has a 103-point cushion going in over here at St. Amant. Positions, every position counts, and if he gets 10 or 12 between himself and St. Amant, 10 or 12 between himself and Seneca or Hansen, the fat lady may be coming out of the closet.
Whoa. All right, well, we'll see if she warms him up a little later on. Crew's watching and waiting as we are. Stay with us. We're coming back to Jennerstown.
Fight for an empire with the Learning Channel's Real History. Striking lethal blows on Conqueror's Week. Attack with Napoleon, a cocky genius destroyed by his own flaws. Raid with Peter the Great, a maniac with a taste for territory and torture. Bold, ruthless, born to rule. Loot and plunder all week. Feel the rush of victory on Real History. Weeknights at 9 Eastern and Pacific on TLC. Adventures for your mind.
I detail cars for a living. When my customers ask me how I keep their cars looking so new, I tell them it's a trade secret. But between you and me, I use Mother's Back to Black on all the exterior trim surfaces that weather and fade. Back to Black cuts through wax buildup and eliminates oxidation that makes black trim look old and dull. It works great on all colors of trim as well as black, and leaves behind a clear, durable coating that seals and protects. Nothing works like Mother's Back to Black, so keep it to yourself, or I'll be looking for another line of work.
Hi, I'm Buddy Parrott. I'm here to tell you how to get renewed performance from your car or truck with Restorer's Engine Restorer and Lubricant. Now, I can't promise you'll go from this to this, but it will renew compression, horsepower, and overall engine performance to near original levels. Designed for older, high-mileage vehicles, Engine Restorer works with all PTFE products. Automotive performance is my business. Take my advice. Use Engine Restorer and feel the difference in renewed power.
This is on board. This is online. This is fast. This is faster. Get online with SpeedVision's new website. Log on and find all this. Up-to-the-minute news stories, event previews and track information, interviews with the top racing personalities, how-to and historical features, programming schedules and show information, plus the best pictures seen anywhere. Online with SpeedVision. Catch us if you can.
The kids enjoying it here. Some young ASA fans having a good time in the AC-Delco Challenge Series event.
Jack Landis' girls. Unfortunately for Jack, he just dropped off the pace. He's running 16th now. And Dave Sensiva is one lap down at 17th.
There's Sensiva right there in the fourth car. He's got Beebe, St. Amant, Mike Eddy all over him.
And Sensiva already one lap down. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Charge on through. Mike's having a great day. I mean, Mike Eddy, usually earlier on in the season, he was long gone by now with liability problems. Not today. He's pretty racy. Working the inside of St. Amant now.
Mike Eddy able to hold it down there. That'll be important. The sun is coming back out. The track might heat up again. And it was only 66 degrees at the race start time.
There really hasn't been a threat of rain around here. The clouds have come in a little bit. They're not rain clouds, they're just high clouds, and the sun is drifted in and out behind them. Right now it's out bright, and that is going to heat things up. Some 65 degrees outside. Pretty cool temperatures, just about perfect for the drivers.
Makes for a busy day for the tire specialists on each team. These Goodyear Eagles are bias ply tires, not radials like you see in other divisions. Bias ply tires rely heavily on the size of the tire. Teams they measure tires endlessly at the tire truck every race weekend, first thing when they get there to get their tires matched up. Then during the race, they measure pressures. 1 or 2 pounds of air pressure in a tire is a huge difference.
Steve Holzhausen rolling down pit road. The 5-car coming back out of the racetrack. Mike Eddy sneaks to the inside and away from Gary St. Amant. Tony Raines has gotten around Hansen and has moved himself up into second now. And he's about 2 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds back of Seneca. I think he's going to catch him. He is quiet. There's Seneca. He was stuck in traffic.
Yep, Raines is becoming quickly now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to be on him in a handful of laps. 1 car right now separating the two of them. It's that red 83 of Cosell. So you see there's Tony.
Oh boy. This time by. It was a 2-second advantage. Now it's down to 1.2 seconds. Seneca in traffic. Raines closing in. Now Raines will have to encounter that traffic as well. But if he can keep just Andy Moselle as they work their way through that traffic, I think Raines will close the margin problems in his 86. He's with Dave.
Guys, near the end the series in hopes of being involved next year. Some of them get a ride. Kurt Huff is one of those guys, but his day ended early. Kurt, what was the problem?
The motor just started tightening up on us, and we had a long way to go. Instead of destroying the motor, I went ahead and pulled it in.
Okay, Kurt also told me that brakes are going to be a primary thing yet here this afternoon. That's Carl Muscatton's problem. He had that tire problem, but he's also got no brakes. As for Dave Sensiva, that car is extremely loose. Dave is fighting it off of every corner. And right now in the Noah Yoder pits, no problems reported for Jack Landis. They'd like to give him another set of right side tires before this is over.
Well, Tony Raines is all over Bob Seneca now. The fight for the lead as we are competing here in the Pennsylvania 400. The last race of the 1996 season, the AC-Delco Child Series Tour, as we have crossed the halfway point, 200 laps remaining. Joe Naughton goes down a lap, 48 car.
You'd think at Jennerstown when Joe Naughton sees Bob Seneca coming, unfortunately not on the pace today, you'd think flashbacks must be like a slideshow going by the actual altercation that cost not his first win and gave Seneca the victory at the season closer a year ago as they both crashed hard on the front stretch wall. Probably the most prolific visual moment in ASA history.
Raines has been so quick through the center of the turns. Let's see what he does if he goes to the outside. Toughest place to pass. Look at that horsepower. He's going to drive right away from him.
When Bob Seneca won the championship in ASA in 1990, he ran a K-Tech motor. He's now running a Ford in Connecticut. He said that our horsepower is great, but when we knew Raines was getting the K-Tech motor, we really started to worry because they knew the horsepower possibilities of that engine.
Boy, good reason to worry, too. Tony just sailed on past him. So Tony Raines takes over the lead. Seneca, Hansen, Smokestad, Mike Eddy, the top five. Beebe, St. Amant, Miller, Schrock, Maloney, your top 10. Sawinski, Roper, Bell, Bordeaux, and Landis, the top 15. Then it's Knott, Sensiva, Baird, Moselle, and Harold Baird in the top 20 as you take a look at the mid-race summary.
We've had 5 leaders in the race. We just completed our 9th lead change. There's 16 cars still on lead lap, and I think with the run of Raines and Seneca, all still have a shot at a top 5 finish. The way this race is playing out, some of them are having problems. A lot of cars able to continue on. Again, we're just past halfway. Tony Raines has joined the lead list, as has Mike Miller, who led early. Gary St. Amant, the pole center led, as has Scott Hansen, and Mike, as I mentioned, Mike Eddy. So only a handful of guys have taken the point, but it's been 9 different times that they've taken a lead. 19 times is what we saw as the lead change record for the season, tying a short track record in ASA set just 2 weeks ago at Toledo Speedway.
I'll tell you what really scares me about Tony Raines' car here today is that he is able to drive it anywhere he needs to go. He's passing people on the outside, he's passing people on the inside. That car is sticking everywhere. But with 200 laps to go, the question is, as Jonesy said earlier on, consistency. Can he keep it that way through the course of the day? Well, Jack Landis pitching him down a little bit. He might have to go to the outside again.
Jack officially in 15th position. He's still on, 1 lap down now.
He's getting up high and let Tony through to the inside.
Raines' car right now is looking better in the middle. He's unable to go quickly by the 07. I believe that's why he went to the outside of Bob Seneca for the lead. See the car working right to that middle part of the turn. He's not right down that yellow line in the turns. He's letting it drift out a bit, and that's where the car is most comfortable. He's got to go well to the bottom to get by Landis, and he's not able to get on the gas pedal to keep up those lap times.
Crew chief Howie Leto has had 4 different drivers win the Pat Shower Rookie of the Year award, but he's never had a driver win the AC-Delco Challenge Series title.
He's got as close as second with Scott Hansen in 1993 to Johnny Benson. He's finished 3rd 4 times with Hansen prior to that. Olshausen, I believe, finished 4th in points. Still just off the top of my head, so it's not fact. But I think Howie Leto realizes what the possibilities are here. This is as close as he's gotten in many years of ASA crew chiefing.
He is the genius crew chief for the ASA Series. With respect to crew chiefs in business.
Baker Enterprises hurry down and get a tire changer.
Whoa, Pat Bordeaux goes around right in front of Tony Raines, and Raines avoids it. Wow. Well, it's good to be prepared, but sometimes it's better to be lucky, and Tony Raines was very lucky on that one, as he avoids hitting Pat Bordeaux. So Seneca sneaks through that unscathed as well. That'll move the sneaker right back up into the lead.
And he looks like he's ready to come right down pit lane. As soon as they let them, they'll open the pits and Pierce this time by.
They're all going. There's Hansen and Raines, I'm sure, abused those tires hard on the brakes like he was. And Dave Burns is in the sneakers pit.
Well, Bob is hopefully going to get this thing straightened out a little bit. They're going to put left sides on. They've only been in one time today for right sides. And it's a flawless stop as they get fuel and left side tires in, and Bob is out of here.
Yes, he is. Tony Raines and Scott Hansen's crews both having good stops. Mike Eddy right behind them. So before the ball, come back out in order. Well, this is going to make things interesting. You see some of the other cars moving to the bottom. Those are the cars that are a lap or more down. As leaders have all pitted. Tony Raines dodges a huge bullet. Just a huge bullet. Let's take a look at this again.
Pat Bordeaux and Jack Landis was the guy that Raines couldn't get around. Now Landis has the chore of going around the 44 of Bordeaux, and either they made contact or Bordeaux had to pinch it down, and he lost control momentarily.
Tony did a great job of bringing it to a stop.
Brakes might have been a problem there with jamming it that hard of the brakes. It might have cost Tony Raines some pedal, and we'll see if he can continue.
I think there's some contact between the 7 and the 44, the 07. Well, they're awful close. I wonder if...
running a couple inches apart.
Yeah, somebody might have gotten a little nervous, tapped the brakes, gotten the rear end loose. Never know. Pat gets it off the wall. Did a good job of doing that. And Bob Seneca is retaking the lead. Tony Raines listed in 4th. Nowinski, Smokestack, 2nd and 3rd. We'll be right back.
Meet the challenge. Come with me. It's Little Speed Grand Prix. See how fast as you can be. You're going fast to defeat the band. You're going as fast as you can. Come with me the challenge. Little Speed Grand Prix.
When it comes to taking care of beautiful wheels, there's only one brand exclusively recommended by the world's leading wheel manufacturers. Eagle One, quality for those who care.
We are back to green flag here at Jennerstown Speedway. Brandon Sperling leads the pack, but he is not on the lead lap. It is Bob Seneca, the leader, and now in front of the entire field. Raines, Hansen, Eddy, Mike Miller, all coming after Sawinski. All grouped together.
Sperling having an upper A-frame go bad on the right front after an altercation that also took out Steve Holzhausen. They're both running about 9th and 10th position. He now shuffles back through, and look at these leaders, almost 3 wide there off of the 4th turn.
Oh boy, getting a little dicey in there. Hansen to the bottom of Raines. No rough. They're about to go 3 wide as Eddy sneaks it in. And Raines gets dusted to the back of the pack. He goes back to 5th.
I would think by choice. He backed out of that one.
Well, he backed out of the throttle, yes, by being smart. The problem is, you want to get those 5 points for leading the most laps, too. So you don't want to stay back in 5th forever.
The way his car's been performing, they'll give him a couple laps and he'll be right back at it like Hansen.
Look at Hansen. He's below the yellow line going through there. Very aggressive driving by Hansen. Mike Eddy feeling pretty racy, too, as Mike Miller comes up in the 18. Just a great, classic short track stock car race for the AC-Delco Challenge Series.
Hansen to the inside this time. Looks like Bob will have the advantage of the Bluebird. Bob Seneca looking for a major sponsor, as is Hansen. You can see the blank quarter panels there, two very accomplished veterans. Here comes the GM Goodwrench Pontiac of Mike Eddy now to take second. So Hansen, just 2 laps ago, was looking for first. He's trying to hang on to third now.
Unbelievable. Sawinski getting right into it.
It looks like the outside line might be a bit quicker at this point.
Now Raines is right back there, and he's going to try to the outside of Hansen as well. So Miller picks up a slot. Boy, Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca running 1 and 2. Those two veterans had some contests over the years, huh?
At this racetrack, they've run it 9 times. Between these two drivers, and 7 victories. Tom Jones.
There goes Eddy to the bottom of Seneca.
You guys break that bubble.
Glenn Allen Jr., I think the other one.
Yep.
These two drivers have swapped paint numerous times over the years. The driver with the most victories in the Tour on the outside of the 84. The driver with the most championships in Tour history on the inside. Two of the finest out of Michigan having at it here today. And boy, the state of Michigan is divided when it comes to these two, aren't they?
You can tell at their home track at Berlin Raceway, where ASA visits twice a year, there are boos and cheers equally for both drivers, but they all come at the same time. Half the crowd boos, half the crowd cheers. There's no out-and-out favorite at that racetrack.
There is no way you can like them both if you're from the state of Michigan. You choose one and go with them.
Mike Miller's in third. In fourth now is Tony Raines. Scott Hansen has dropped back to 5th. Kevin Swinsky about to pressure him for that position.
There's Scott getting an up-close view of the battle as he goes down another lap.
Top 7 cars now sharing the front straightaway. No more than a car length separating any of the 7. Current engine in this train is Bob Seneca.
9-to-1 motors, V6 power plants inside these cars. And pretty good smattering of makes up front. Ford leading, a host of Pontiacs chasing, and a Chevy right behind them. Center sections all come from Howe Engineering. They're all stamped with a serial number, and records are kept at ASA headquarters in Anderson, Indiana, as to how the chassis is performed, and then you can do whatever you want to the front and rear flip, everything either in front of or behind that center section, which is the driver's cockpit. Some of the drivers go with a particular make, such as a Howe or a Ford City. Other drivers, like Bob Seneca and Mike Miller, who are running first and third in this group, like to design and build their own, which you can do as long as you're within the rule book. Body is all fiberglass. As we said, it only comes from one. That's 5-star, which is great because then they all look exactly the same. There's no cutting or pasting or taping to these bodies. It is what it is, and that's what you race. What a fight we've got here.
There are some very close templates that ASA continues to put on these cars in the front nose and the rear deck, that kind of thing. And Mike Eddy trying to get to the inside.
If you are trying to start a career as a short track stock car driver, pay close attention to what you see out of Bob Seneca and Mike Eddy at this point. Two of the best ever to race short track and stock cars, going at it, throwing it all out. There are no moves in the book of tricks these two don't know. In fact, they broke most of them.
And Mike Miller moved to the Atlanta area from Minnesota for business reasons. Had a very successful business going there. Ran Lanier Speedway quite a bit. But he said, I want to go back to ASA. That's where the best are. And indeed, he's running with the best here in that red 18. There's a report now that Pat Bordeaux might be leaking some fluid, and Bill Baird also also might be leaking some water, so that track might be getting slick as now Baird and Holtzhausen again visit pit lane.
Doesn't seem to be affecting our leaders at this point. We talked about the great 50-lap side-by-side battle as you see Bill Baird in the pits. Dave, you got a story on that?
Well, they're looking underneath. They think he may be leaking something, as Bordeaux might have been a problem. There is fluid coming out from underneath of Bill Baird, Standard Machines, Allen's Body Shop, Chevrolet. It looks to be kind of green. Guys, I can't tell what it is.
The green would tend to make you think radiator, but that would be out of the front. You know, we talked about that great side-by-side battle for 50 laps that St. Amant and Glen Allen had last year. But Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca, one for the memory banks here as they go at it again.
I'm thinking the outside line at this point is where you want to be. Mike Eddy not able to power off, and that's where Seneca gets his advantage down the straightaway, able to power down, watch his advantage grow here off Mike Eddy off that turn. Eddy gets him going in, Seneca keeps it going out.
The thing that's really interesting to me is the car that Bob is racing with is 3 years old. The chassis that Mike is racing is 2 years old, and the same thing with Mike Miller's car. That chassis 3 years old. It's not often that you find a sanctioning body where you can run a chassis that is 2 or 3, 4 years old and be competitive. Nowadays, most of the teams in any form of professional motorsports building new cars, not just every year, some every month.
Any guys like Dale Earnhardt who likes a favorite car, he sticks with it for 4 or 5 years at a given racetrack. Chassis development and shocks are so critical now in any form of stock car racing. Bob Seneca and Mike Eddy have it figured out, I think. Mike Miller is a consummate student and figured out how to get those shocks to work right. He talks in geometric terms when he talks to him about the chassis setup. He designed it on a computer with assistance from some engineers. His chassis is certainly not like the other ones.
These three drivers just playing follow leader right now, and Eddie keeps testing the inside, and Bob Seneca doesn't seem to have any problem with giving Mike that inside line, but Mike just can't do anything with it.
They're going to come up on Aaron Huff here in the Murray's Discount Auto Parts number 15. He had a flat right rear tire under green, and he lost a lap or so, and he'll be to the inside there, so that'll give Seneca a breather for the moment. Huff taking over that Eaglewood team for the rest of the season, looking for a two-car effort with his brother Kurt, who we talked to earlier, out of the race with no problem.
Right now, Seneca, Eddy, Miller, and Raines all having a good day, but not so for some of our other competitors, Dave.
Well, for Bill Baird, it was definitely a rear end. There is a bolt on the rear end that holds the fluid in there.
And we got a yellow as we've got Brandon Sperling losing a tire over in turn number 4. The tire rolls back down the track and just misses Tony Raines. Tony Raines' luck continues.
How many lives can that team have this race? They've all been fortunate moves for Tony Raines, avoiding a spin just 30 laps ago to stay on lead lap and stay in position.
And how much bad luck can you have if you're Brandon Sperling? That guy has been right up there all day today, running strong, and now he's got a torn up race car to trailer back to Charlotte, North Carolina. Actually, the car is shopped up in Mooresville, which is just north of the city of Charlotte. Let's go back to Dave Burns for more on the updates as we keep an eye on Brandon.
Real quick, Bill Baird's crew is putting rear end grease into the car. But we did want to tell people that both Randy Ruhlman and Bob Derstowitz were okay from an earlier incident. And now we'll be watching the leaders to see what they changed this time, because last time they all changed the right sides. Now they're on pit road, and it looks like they're all going to go to the left side with the exception of Bob Seneca, who's going to go to the right side. By the way, Dave Sinsma changed 2 rear tires last time, and his car was good enough that they stayed out.
Well, the fight comes up off of pit lane, and the win is going to go Seneca. And it looks like Eddy beat Raines just by a hair. Wow. All 4 of them pitting, coming out at the same time. Great work by the crews down on pit road. We're going to step out just for a minute so our crew can go to work. We'll be right back after this. It's Jennerstown.
It's not professional pressure cleaning. It's the amazing new Euroblaster. That's right, Euroblaster. Go from this to this to this at the turn of a dial. This V-shaped cleaning jet washes your car easier than ever. And the large shampoo chamber mixes soap and water to blast that dirt away. Turn this dial for a clear water rinse. Even add liquid wax to give your car a professional shine. Change to this narrow strong jet to blast wheels and hubcaps clean. Dial in this down angle spray and clear loose grass and debris from sidewalks. Blast your patio clean as a whistle. Turn to the large straight jet and those glass doors are done in seconds. You can even clean out those clogged up gutters. Euroblaster blasts everything clean, and it's only $19.95. Order yours now.
Have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-835-0600 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. Call now 1-800-835-0600.
It takes power and quickness to beat your opponent. But one wrong move, and you're kissing the canvas. Fight Night at the Forum. Catch the action Monday on your regional sports network.
We are back as you see some of the fall foliage off the backstretch here in Jennerstown.
Under our sixth caution of the afternoon, and Brett Bell stayed out on the racetrack. He now takes the point.
There's Brandon Sperling's car getting towed to the inside, and see the door bars exposed on the right side of the car.
That was a hard hit. I believe he hit the wall, then the wheel came off on that Ultra Custom Wheels Baja 51. A hard lick for Brandon Sperling, trying to get his team back together. Once they're on ASA in 1997, looking for some sponsorship help. Trying to end the season on a high note. We'll have to wait till Kenley, November 17th.
Long drive back to Charlotte for Brandon tonight. There's some of the competitors making their way down pit road. One of those cars is the black number 91 of Tom Harrington, our other former NFL place kicker. Tom used to kick for the New Orleans Saints. The other one, of course, is Mike Kofer, who will be back in action with us at Kenley with the new VersaPack-sponsored car. Former kicker for the 49ers. And our good buddy from Charlotte area, Eddie Sharp, standing by with Dave Burns.
Well, Ralph, he'd like to be back in action too today, but nothing for the Jennerstown race. Eddie, I understand you're going to be back at Kenley.
You are definitely going to be at Kenley. We're going up next Saturday to test all day and get our, set up just right, because we really want to be ready to go when we get there. We're looking forward to coming back next year. We're working hard on finding sponsorships, so we want to come up, let everybody know we're still here, part of the team, very much excited about next year, and we're going to get them.
Okay, Ralph, a lot of our race fans on Prime might remember Eddie from the IRP race earlier this year where he ran extremely strong.
Sure did. Ran up inside the top two, chased Tony Raines for most of the evening, and then blew a right front tire. Met the wall pretty hard. Brett Bell out front, leading the lap, picking up 5 points. Here's Jennerstown.
Boom, 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 boom.
Ain't nothing cooler than the blues.
Shoot you right down.
It's living the blues. Complete. Definitive. It's the kind of collection only Time Life could put together.
Good Bill spoon full of coffee. Good Bill spoon full of tea.
Start with Blues Legends and get 20 absolutely essential blues classics for just $9.99 on cassette or compact disc.
Further on up the road, someone's gonna hurt you like you hurt me.
Then audition other albums. Keep only the ones you want. Satisfaction guaranteed. The blues are hotter than ever. So call now.
Call 1-800-753-8877. Call now, and when you use your credit card, you'll also receive a free 10-minute long-distance collector's edition phone card, or send $9.99 plus $3.50 shipping and handling to the address on your screen.
As the psychic solution travels around the country, more and more people are discovering just how real their psychics are.
She knew I was pregnant, and he doesn't even know yet. I can't believe that she knew something so personal.
I didn't feel like she was a stranger because she knew so much about me.
I'm going to go home personally and tell a lot of people about this. I mean, it's so easy, just go home and call.
She's someone that I would like to talk to on a weekly basis.
Real psychic advice is only a phone call away, so get your free sample reading now.
Call 1-800-994-5837.
We are back to the Jennerstown Speedway here in Pennsylvania, just about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. And Gary St. Amant is number 7, wins Ford. Started on the pole today, but had some problems, Dave?
Yeah, they think it's a plug wire, Ralph. Bud St. Amant, his crew chief, said they think they got it. They're going to watch very closely as Gary gets back up to speed, but they had a miss developing. They believe they reattached the plug wire that was loose.
Now he has to come out at the tail end of the field. They elected to stay out on that caution, so they don't have fresh rubber like the drivers like Bob Seneca, Mike Eddy, Tony Raines, and Scott Hansen and the like. They came in for fresh tires. Gary elected to stay out, as did a handful of cars still on lead lap, including Brett Bell, the race leader. But now, not track position, not tire changes, they got a plug wire problem, and he's looking to gain some more points, but he's at the very tail end of our single file line.
Can't afford to give up any spaces, as we've got 254 of the scheduled 400 laps completed.
Brett Bell's the leader. 10-car Tony Roper is the second. Jack Landis stayed on lead lap. Tony Raines couldn't get by him. He's now third. Those 3 cars stayed out on the racetrack, as did Gary Santamont, until he just pitted. Bob Seneca in fourth, came in off a pit stop.
Well, there's another new young hot shot driver coming to the AC-Delco Challenge Series in 1997, and he is standing by with Dave Burns.
Yeah, he's here without a crew or a rig or a ride this time, but hopefully this time next year, Jimmy Johnson will have participated in a full season with ASA. Tell us about your plans to get involved with this series after doing some off-road racing in Soda and Mickey Thompson.
Well, I'd love to get involved racing ASA, and Chevrolet, in fact, would like to see me get into some asphalt racing and possibly start racing in ASA. I have a test next week with a 4-car just to go out and see what it's all about and try it. It's something I definitely want to do, and the team, the Herzogs that I drive for, wants to get involved. So we're going to go test, see where we stand, and there's a good chance we could be out here next year.
Have you talked to any other off-road guys that have gone asphalt racing for some advice?
Yeah, I have. I know Rick Johnson pretty well, and he's given me some advice, but the advice I've been given is just to get the seat time, and that's what we'd like to do next year and come out and get a lot of seat time.
Okay, guys, he'll probably go for something like 50 grand or so next year?
That's what the Pat Shire Rookie of the Year Award pays out as we go back to green. Brett Bell is your leader. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, will not be the first former Mickey Thompson Series competitor to run at ASA. As you watch Tony Roper going for the lead here with Brett Bell. TJ Clark drove at Topeka a couple years back, another former Mickey T competitor. We'll have more on Jimmy Johnson here in a minute, but look at this fight with Roper and Brett Bell. Brett Bell on the outside. You know, Rick Martindale back in Vacaville, California, the owner of that car and sponsor of that car, cheering like crazy as Brett Bell keeps the Wonder Bar machine up front. Tony Roper, the Child's Tire car, running in second. They made 4 major changes on the number 10 car earlier this morning, trying to tighten it up. They knew the track was going to get loose. They wanted to be ready for the later stages of the race, and here they are, and look where they are.
Brett Bell, for the first time this season, has the point. Tony Roper, again, is solidly 10th in points and has had some great runs.
He's another one of those drivers who has been so close to getting that first win Tony Roper has, and today could be it. He's going to drive awfully aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive as he drifts too far out wide. Seneca will try to sneak by as you look at Mike Eddy, Hansen, Raines, and Jack Landis going on just behind them. That is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Raines back in the office. They got a good shot there as he went underneath that camera position. You can see inside the cockpit. Raines not fighting the wheel. He's just steering it into the turn.
How about Smokestack, the Super America car, and Jack Landis, Noah Yoder Maisto back to 07.
You see the difference here in tire changes. Ted Smokestack did come in and pit, as did the other 5 cars that passed Jack Landis to this point. Landis trying to hang on the outside. Fresh rubber makes a big difference.
That's the fight for 7th as Rick Beebe brings the 23 down pit road, and Brett Bell continues to lead as Mike Eddy gets around Roper, and now Hansen does the same.
Beebe was running in the 10th position. Now the hood goes up on that Chevrolet on pit lane.
Bill Barrett, however, will return after repairs to his rear end.
Brett Bell is the leader. Bob Seneca started off with
about 50.
Most recent caution in 4th. Now he taps Bell off of turn 4.
Let's check in with Dave Burns with more on the driver of the Wonder Bar car.
Well, guys, this is something new for Brett Bell. Those 2 cars battling for the lead, the 56 and the 84. That is a fight among kinetic racing engines. That's new for Brett Bell this week. He's got more horsepower than he had before.
He used to drive with a Roush power plant. Now running the kinetic engine. Brett running one of the new noses that Ford has available. Seneca going with the older 95 version.
Watching the cars go through the tech line, you can tell the difference. It's a lot more slope to the nose. Seneca's car, you see the big headlight covers. It's actually a squared off nose. You can see the sleek design here. It's actually 1 inch shorter on the bumper. It brings that front nose down. Obviously gets the air over the car quicker instead of shoving it off to the side.
There's your fight for 7th. And there's 8th. Sawinski holds on to 8th. Loney, Landis, getting in the middle of that one. Schrock did not. Right behind him as well as Mike Miller to the inside. Boy, there is great racing all over this track here today.
Brad Loney won the race 2 weeks ago at Toledo Speedway. He had said it started sinking in when he got to share it with the crew guys, that victory. Loney also said the next weekend he felt even greater satisfaction because his peers came up and said, hey, nice job. The people he respects genuinely said, great job, glad to see you win the race.
The rundown showing you in the upper left corner there, that is after 265 laps of the scheduled 400. Landis a little too high out there, losing ground now. Buddy Schrock closing in on him. And Miller will go to the outside of Loney. See if he can do something up there.
14 cars are on lead up. Gary Santamont, the last of them, and he'd like to get up here and battle with these guys, but he may need a pit stop to close the gap.
Look at this length of the lead. What a great run Brett Bell is having. A driver who has had horrible luck over his years in ASA competition. Brett, a former winner in the Copper World Stock Car portion of the Copper World.
He's qualified well this season. His best finish of 5th at Minnesota State Fair, earning him the wins-winning move of the race. Other than that, he's not had performance at the end of the race that he has during.
He just seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time a lot. Gets caught up in incidents that are not even of his doing. Situations where you're coming up a straightaway, there's an incident in front of you, and there's no room.
They made a motor change. They made some crew changes on the 56 car. I mentioned that tires make a big difference. Brent Bell is able to hold these guys off 10, 15 laps after the pit stop. The new tires, I was told today, asking some crew members, they said that kind of levels off. Now we see Brett Bell doesn't have the pressure over Bob Seneca does, but he's also able to hold them off and take the 2 or 3 car length lead after we get more laps built up on these tires.
Seeing something out of Brett Bell we knew was there. He's able to not only run with the leaders, but hold them off. He's got Bob Seneca, Mike Eddy, Tony Raines, Scott Hansen, all breathing down his neck. Brett doing a great job of hanging on. Comes out of Vacaville, California. He's a childhood friend of Jeff Gordon, who also came originally from Vacaville. They always say Jeff Gordon coming out of Pittsburgh, Indiana. Jeff came from Vacaville first. They grew up together, raced go-karts together, did all that sort of stuff. Families are friends, and now Brett runs his ASA shop out of Jeff's old shop in Pittsburgh, Indiana.
Mike Eddy not waiting too long here. He wants to get those 5 points to lead the most laps. He'll try to climb back underneath Bob Seneca. The race right now is a very good one for Brett Bell. His best finish this season, again, 5th at Minnesota State Fair, but beyond that, I believe he only has one other top 10 finish in 18 races.
Well, if you're wondering what a Wonder Bar is, next time you go in your favorite restaurant and you go into the bar area to order a drink, those little squirt guns where they squirt out the soda and whatever into the drinks, that's a Wonder Bar.
Wonder Bar dispenser.
Rick Martindale, the owner of Wonder Bar, and the sponsor on this car. I'm sure enjoying this one with 125 laps to go. Seneca, look at Seneca, Raines, and Eddy.
And look at Mike Eddy losing ground again on the inside. You'd think at a racetrack, any racetrack, the inside line's the way to go. It has moved out. The groove has moved up the racetrack, and Eddy is losing ground to Tony Raines and Bob Seneca.
Hansen trying to get even lower.
Going by Dennis Lamont, who had early problems, bring out the first caution on lap 15 where he and Bill Baird made contact. He's struggling to have a good run here. I believe now he's 4 laps down. Barricade Flasher, Arrow Racing Wheel Chevrolet. Make that 8 laps. 9 laps? I'm checking the scoring here. 9 laps down for Dennis. Unfortunately, another long day for that Wisconsin-based team.
Our scoring, of course, being done by Torch, the official scorer of our television shows.
Tony Raines now goes to the inside. Let's see if he can work with Bob Seneca and get by this 56 car Brett Bell.
He is right alongside of him, working that steering wheel. You can see the car dancing around a little bit. They came off the tube.
Raines gets 3rd now. Eddy back to 4th, and 5th is Hansen. 6th is Tony Roper. 7th is the 32 of Smokestack. 8th is Mike Miller. 9th is Brad Loney. 10th is Sawinski. Unofficially 11th, Jack Lance. 12th is Buddy Schrock.
Nice bit of driving by all these drivers. drivers up front running so hard, so close. You know they got to be getting tired after running so many laps. 281 laps in the books.
In the spring, it was a 250 left side change, and the race was over. We're beyond that point. We still have 120 laps left.
Dave, great fight going on up front.
Yeah, it is, and these guys are watching the weather very closely because with the sun out, the track has really tightened up, specifically Kevin Sawinski and Ted Smokestad have noticed that. So they're trying to get the cars a little bit looser. Meanwhile, Rick Beebe has lost a cylinder in the 23 car, and Tony Roper is out of charge, the 10 car. By the way, his crew chief's wife, Linda McCurdy, is celebrating a birthday this weekend. Kevin wouldn't say which one it was, but he said it's one of the big ones.
And there again, if we did mention how old she was, we would no longer be on the air.
I'm not even going to guess.
No.
Eddie now to the bottom on Reigns. He can get down there, can he? You just can't get around him.
These drivers like to get into a groove. They like to get into a pace, and I would think Reigns would like nothing else than to run single file for a number of laps. You're running in the top 5 safely out of harm's way, but these guys ain't waiting for anything. They want to get around Brett Bell. Reigns tries the outside this time. Seneca now goes to the inside. I would say in a couple laps, Seneca might dip below that red Ford leader, Brett Bell.
Of course, they're all trying to get most laps led as well to get those extra 5 bonus points. See if we can figure out who has led the most laps so far. It is Seneca with 99. So Bob trying to get back out front, see if he can pick up a couple more. And every lap that Brett Bell leads is one less opportunity. One of these other 3 drivers has to pick up another lap. Hansen is second most with 45.
Here he goes to the
Miller
outside.
with 42. Eddie's only led 39.
Outside of Brett Bell, Bob Seneca sweeps by. Let's see if Mike Eddy will make the move.
Now that's 100 laps led now for Seneca, even 4th of the race.
It's our 12th lead change of the afternoon. It's great to see Brett Bell leading his first ASA event of the season.
Mike Eddy now tries to get to the outside to get around Bell. Still can't get around. Well, I'll tell you what Mike Eddy's going to have to do. They're going to have to get around Brett Bell real soon, or Seneca is going to check out.
Hansen and Roper coming through, and Mike Miller back in. So as they try to work with that Indiana-based team of Brett Bell, Mike Eddy is losing ground not only Bob Seneca, but the guys in the latter half of the top 10 are coming down hard.
You bet. This is just what Seneca needs. Seneca needs Brett Bell to keep running as good as he is to hold those guys up behind him. Oh, here comes Mike. An aggressive move, but a clean one if he can pull it off. Look how deep he runs it down into the turns, and here comes Reigns right with him.
Eddie had to drift up. Eddie had to drift up to keep that speed.
He ran it in deep. And now Reigns will try it in the other end and gets it done. Well, not surprising that Reigns was able to get it done because he was getting through the turn so wonderfully early on. So Brett Bell, after leading a handful of laps here, doing a great job in the Pennsylvania 400, finds himself in 4th. We'll be right back with more from Jennerstown after this.
The hum of the saw, the wail of the drill, the rhythm of the plane. If you love the music of woodworking, listen to this free TV offer. It's 101 shop tips, packed with secrets from the pros like a jig for routing evenly spaced dados, straightening uneven edges. You'll get 101 time-saving tips, and you get it free when you order cabinet making for just $9.99. Packed with hundreds of full-color photos and illustrations, cabinet making shows you how to master every cabinetry technique and get picture-perfect results. Preview future volumes from The Art of Woodworking with no commitment to buy. Use your credit card and get this video Shop Secrets from Master Craftsman free. So call now to order cabinet making for just $9.99 and get 101 shop tips free. Use your credit card and get your free Shop Secrets video. Call now.
To order, call 1-800-450-9797. Ask for cabinet making for just $9.99 plus $4.25 shipping and handling and receive your free 101 shop tips. Call now.
Psychic Readers Network invites you to try a free sample reading right now.
It was just brilliant. She picked up on a lot of just amazing things.
She told me two things that nobody could know about it.
He told me I had 2 children, and I do. And he said I had 2 grandchildren, and I do.
Very good. Very good reading it was. I mean, too good.
Well, I'm low to begin with, but
Call now for your free sample reading.
Call 1-800-717-1490.
200. Winding down as we close in the completion of the first 3 quarters of this race.
And again, touching on the consistency factor, being consistent, running in the top 5 now, it becomes a sprint race. 103 laps to remain in this Jennerstown race, Pennsylvania 400. The second to last event on the schedule. All these drivers need a great finish to get anywhere in the points. Top 20 car owner points is very critical. Steve Holtzhausen is trudging along, making laps to keep Don Finetti in the top 20 or try to maintain a top 20 in the standings. That's where the big bucks are in the season-end banquet. And there's been an announcement that the year-end banquet in 1997 is moving to the Opryland Hotel for the ASA series, furthering their commitment in Nashville.
Tremendous facility there. We will hold the banquet this year as we have in years past at the Adams Mark in Indianapolis in December.
Seneca is not
at a championship. No. And you know what? I'm starting to think, as we said earlier on, it looked like we didn't know who was going to be the strongest here. I think Bob Seneca is steering at win number 83 here today.
Here's the battle. Reigns looking for their 3rd win of the season. Seneca already has 3 wins.
You're not going to go out on that win?
I don't want to jinx anybody.
Well, I'm not trying to jinx it, but I mean, I think he's looking like the car to beat. And at this point, I really haven't seen anybody that has a whole lot for him. Reigns is awfully strong, as Torch points out. Reigns is incredibly strong, and I don't think Mike Eddy right now can really run with Seneca. I think Reigns can. Reigns is going to need a break to catch it. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I will. Seneca is holding on.
You just live on the edge, don't you, Trey? I'm telling you, you live on the edge.
Or the other, man. Actually, I do what Tom Jones does. I kind of sit on top of that fence until
fight for 4th going on with Brett Bell still trying to catch up to Mike Miller.
Mike Miller, this longer run has really caught up. He was back in 8th position. He's now worked past Brett Bell and around the 10th car of Tony Roper, and he's really making an advance here. He's extremely quick early on, chasing down early race leader Scott Hansen for a number of laps.
4th would not be the career best finish for Brett Bell. 3rd at Michigan. The last time we ran the 2-mile oval at Michigan International Speedway. Regular appearance, going down a lap.
Driven by Jeff Miller, a former crew member of Gary St. Amant, trying to do a limited schedule. Does not know what's happening next year, but what a time in this car for this race. This is Harrington's old equipment that we just saw there.
Fight for 7th between Ted Smokestack, the Super American car, and the 33, Brad Loney, Toledo race winner. Whoa, Loney slided a little bit through turn 2 as he comes right up alongside of Smokestack. Might have been a little contact in there. The Flex Steel H&W Fun Saver car. This is the first time you watch an ASA race. You're going, okay, Shaheen, what the heck is a Fun Saver? It's a seat cushion. All the companies that are on the side of Brad Loney's car are Cedar Rapids-based companies, which is, of course, where Brad Loney is from, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Nice to see the local community getting behind one of their own.
They're returning for 1997. Ted Smokestack, however, is losing the Super America sponsorship.
There is the CarQuest AC-Delco number 81 of Harold Fair. We want to congratulate Harold being named to the Michigan Motorsports Hall of Fame. He's going to be inducted into that next month. And he will join Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca and a whole host of others who are already into that. This driver who's been in the ASA series for quite a few years. A CarQuest AC-Delco driver known into the Michigan Hall of Fame. Dave Burns?
Yeah, by the way, Ralph, Harold has been fighting a roll center problem all day on that Pontiac, so the car has been extremely hard to handle through the turns. Also, a quick update on Gary St. Amant. They think now maybe it's a fuel pump. They really don't know. Gary's car does sound sour to me when he comes by every time. They think it might be the fuel pump. Nothing they can do about that. Also, Pat Bordeaux is out of the race. He lost his brakes completely. He could not stop the car at all. Mike Eddy's going to come into the pits, guys. His crew is scrambling.
Well, we're keeping an eye on him right now, watching him circulate. He doesn't seem to be having any problems out on the racetrack.
Eddy running right.
He's running at full steam.
Mike Miller again advancing.
Eddie Yellow is out. Bill Barrett spins on the backstretch. So if there was a problem with Mike Eddy, this will help him out.
A good break for Mike Eddy. Might be the second one all season for that team.
Exactly what he needed. As Mike Eddy will now have the opportunity to come down pit road, and he does pull to the bottom. This will be interesting. I wonder what the situation was down there. Maybe Dave can find out a little bit more, because, boy, he sure looked like he was running just fine.
He only gave up one position to Mike Miller, but as the crew is scrambling, they went right for the tires, so he might have a tire going down.
I wonder if Baird losing it had something to do with the rear end problem that he had. I wonder if they repaired that. Maybe something got loose on him again.
He was 31 laps down, was Bill Baird, and in repairing that, maybe it caused another problem.
Let's see if we can take a look at it. Our crew apparently caught at least the back end of it.
He may have pinched it down off of turn 2, but it could have been a mechanical failure that may have locked the rear end up.
Yeah, he's too far back to find out. Well, a lot of the leaders all moving down to the bottom. It looks like everybody's going to come in. 312 laps done.
Brett Bell just came down pit lane. It was closed. He'll receive a stop-and-go penalty.
Oh, what a shame. There he again goes the horrible luck of Brett Bell. All right, Dave, what's up with Mike Eddy?
Well, they believe that they had a right front or a right rear tire going down. They were going to come into the pits. They'll go ahead and change those right side tires now. I see the right front coming off. It looks fine. We'll go ahead and try to take a look at the right rear. Does not appear to be anything wrong with either one of them. It might have been just a slight problem that Mike noticed, but they were ready to come in. What a break for that team.
Interesting. Bob Seneca stayed out. Mike Eddy, Hansen, St. Amant, and Raines all pitted. So, Bob, the only lead lap car to stay out on the racetrack. There's the 7-time champ. Got fresh tires, ready to go racing.
Win's Extend Supreme Plus is a patented oil supplement especially formulated for today's high-tech engines. Extend helps increase oil life, combats engine wear, and reduces oil oxidation. So next time and every time you have your oil changed, ask for Extend, the supplement that will not void manufacturer's warranties and comes with its own 100,000-mile warranty. Extend Supreme Plus, a Win Oil Company product since 1939. Available at your quality service facility, including Firestone, Goodyear, and Grease Monkeys.
House windows are easy to clean, but when it comes to your car, dirt, birds, bugs, and road grime can really muddy the picture. That's why you need Eagle One 2020 Auto Glass Cleaner. Perfect vision for your car.
Royal Oak Charcoal is looking for a fan of the week, and it could be you. Just send a non-returnable snapshot of you and your friends having fun at the racetrack to Royal Oak Fan of the Week, P.O. Box 879, Atlanta, Georgia 30356. If your picture's chosen, you'll win a professional Royal Oak Char Griller and Royal Oak Charcoal. So give us your best shot, and you could be the next Royal Oak Fan of the Week. Royal Oak Charcoal, good times in every big red bag.
We are back to the AC-Delco Challenge Series race here at the Jennerstown Speedway, and there is Brett Bell, who came back and had more problems.
He may have done a left side tire swap, but I did not see exactly what happened. He had to stop and go, and then he came back down pit lane.
Well, Bob Seneca was the only lead lap car that stayed out. Dave, what was up with that?
Well, John DeCook is the second half of the brain trust between Bob Seneca and himself. Why was the decision made to stay out, John?
Well, we stayed out earlier in the race on that caution, and
so we got fresh rights on the last time, and we're confident we can go to the end of the race with the Lane Automotive Ford Thunderbird now.
Now, was Bob saying anything about it being loose or tight or anything? Did he like the car perfectly?
The car's just a trifle loose, but it's about as good as you can get it, and Goodyear tires are working super again today.
All right, guys, loose is fast, and that's what Bob's hoping.
And we're greening. He got a great jump, but here comes Raines, the only car we think that can really run with Bob Seneca. Has fresh tires and is on his way.
Right in his mirrors as Raines goes harder than 1 and 2. Bob Seneca is attempting to go 154 laps on the same right side tires. They just changed those. The old left side tires are even older, but they said they've had great tire wear this afternoon. That's a risky move, especially with all the lead lap cars coming in and then all the lap cars coming in. There's no distance between Seneca and the rest of the field that pitted.
I can agree. I don't know if I would have attempted that, but then again, he's got 82 wins.
I was just going to say, he's got 82 wins. What are we doubting?
You never know. All right, look at this fight between Sawinski and the number 1 on the outside. Soon to be crowned Pat Shower Rookie of the Year with 3 wins, and Mike Eddy battling it out with it. Brown and Sharp. Coleman Racing Products, Lefevre Racing number 1 has had quite a rookie year. Look at that. 3 wins, 2 poles, and in the top 10 all the time.
The other couple of finishes outside the top 10 are 11th place finishes.
Sawinski still battling with Eddie. Eddie trying to get to the inside. A little bumping in there.
Can't tell who's bumping what, though. Black on black doesn't show you.
No. Well, not all bumping is bad. I mean, a lot of it is just good hard racing. These drivers can easily tell the difference.
And even on a restart where they run single file, after a lap or two, as Sawinski saw there, he knew that Mike Eddy was faster. He's coming in hard on him. At this point in the race, there's still quite a bit of distance left, 77 laps to go, and Sawinski let him by.
This thing for Bob Seneca is for Mike Miller and Tony Raines to go side by side just like that. Raines keeps going wide and wide and wide through 1 and 2, and side by side racing like that's just going to allow Seneca to stay out front.
But Seneca coming off the turns, drifts out to the wall, gets down to the bottom of the inside, so he's playing the chaser right now. He's trying to keep ahead of these guys, let them chase him, but he's not letting them take a groove on him or even get a fender up on the 84. He's using all parts of that racetrack to hold that lead. Here he comes right out to the wall again.
So Eddie is around Sawinski, and now he's going to get up in the middle of this mix. Just about every one of those cars with a mathematical shot at the championship, except for Mike Eddy. But Mike trying to do something even more important to Mike for his pride, and that's get back inside the top 10 in points. He has never finished worse than 11th in the point standings. He stands a good shot of doing that this year. Rick Beebe brings his 23 back down pit road.
Mike Eddy currently 12th in the points, but looking for 3rd on the racetrack.
That would help him a lot. Solid finish here today would probably put Mike back inside the top 10.
Ted Smokestad and Tony Roper, the 2 combatants just ahead of him in the overall point standings. Both those drivers having a great run this afternoon in the top 10.
Well, they single file. We haven't seen a lot of that. Did Mike Miller's car get up in the air?
Something jumped there, and it might have been Sawinski giving him a hello.
Like the nose of that 18. Jumped up a little bit. Well, Mike Eddy goes right for 2nd. Raines gets shuffled back to 3rd, and now to 4th, and maybe 5th. Yeah, he's in 5th. So the Cleveland Pontiac back in 5th.
I'm wondering if veteran crew chief Howie Letto said, you are really running hard with these guys. There's still 70 laps to go. Take it easy on those tires. Save something.
Maybe Dave Burns can run down and ask Howie Letto what their strategy is.
Now, Raines is now backing up just a bit.
Backing up a lot of it. He's backing up a whole lot of it. I wonder if Raines has a problem. He's dropping like a rock.
This is the 4th race on this motor.
I think he might have lost the cylinder. You think they might have pushed that motor too far, Dave Burns?
Yes, they have, guys. They have not told me for sure yet, but you see Tony dropping down to the low side. It sounds sour, guys. It sounds just like Rick Meany's car, and that's the problem he's chased all day.
Well, while Tony Raines sees the points lead drifting away, Mike Eddy sees the top 10 points finish coming close as he gets around Bob Seneca to take the lead. So Tony Raines loses a cylinder, and with it, possibly the points lead. We will come back to Jennerstown as the 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series continues to wind down.
Take strokes off your game, guaranteed.
Jack Nicklaus's personal technique that helps straighten slices.
Take strokes off your game, guaranteed.
Dave Peltz's revolutionary technique that has even the pros putting more accurately.
Take strokes off your game, guaranteed.
Get out of sand without sweat. Greg Norman's Earth Mover secret shows you how, guaranteed. Now take 2, 3, 4, even more strokes off your game with the secrets you'll get in your free issue of Golf Magazine.
Take strokes off your game, guaranteed.
Master teacher Jim McLean's simple secret to longer, straighter tee shots every time. Call now to get your free issue of Golf Magazine, plus receive your free Golf Magazine umbrella. Shoot lower, play better, or you don't pay. That's the Golf Magazine guarantee. Call now for your free no-obligation issue of Golf Magazine. If you decide to subscribe, get 11 more issues, 12 in all, for just $16.97. Plus this Golf Magazine umbrella free with your paid subscription. Call now.
Prime Racing travels the NASCAR circuit and previews each week's Winston Cup race on This Week in NASCAR. Thursdays on this regional sports network.
It's a grandstand view from the Jennerstown Speedway. And that is a fight going on between Ted Smokestad and Brad Loney. That's a fight for 6th place. It's been a good one between a couple of young Chargers. One still looking for his first win. Smokestad, this is Super America 32. Loney looking for his second, number 33 car. He just joined us. What a major development we've had here. Tony Raines, the current points leader, has been running in the thick of this fight all day long. 70 laps short of getting an opportunity to refresh a motor that has just lost a cylinder and probably lost him the points lead.
There's still 24 cars running on the racetrack, Ralph, and with 60 laps remaining, none of the drivers are 60 laps down. Steve Holtzhausen is pulled behind the wall. He had some problems with the cylinder. The 23 car lost his cylinder. He continues to trudge along. What that means is, if he cannot last to the end of the race, he may finish as bad as 25th.
Fight for second now between Bob Seneca and Mike Miller.
Two things on Scott Hansen. Number one, he said, hey, I had 2 bad races in a row. It can happen to anybody. Number 2, his front tire trainer, Jimmy Schrader, figured out the points. He said, if Raines finishes 21st or worse and we win both races at the end of the year, we got him. But that all plays out with finishes and laps led and plus laps led, that kind of thing. It's unofficial by all means. Tony Raines made escape here with a point that he had a 103-point cushion after qualifying yesterday over Gary St. Amant.
This fight for second, a pretty good one. Ever Seneca pushing those tires. And Miller.
Here he comes.
Trying the outside. Oh boy. Bob trying to shut the door on him up on top, huh?
Bob was doing that beautifully before, but now Mike Miller does get the runoff at 1 and 2. The Marietta, Georgia driver goes around Bob Seneca. 13th lead change of the day, and Mike Miller back up front.
That's for second.
Excuse me, for second.
Sawinski now running in 4th. Number 1 car. Maybe Seneca pushed those tires just too far.
It's about 100 laps on those right side tires at this point, and that was about the window that these teams are looking for. About 100 laps into it, they're hoping for a caution of that sort. They got it on lap 112. And look at this.
Tony Raines going a lap down in that clean burn Pontiac. And how frustrating that has got to be, knowing she was so close to really putting a stranglehold on the
at Raleigh, North Carolina to decide the championship. The picture is definitely getting cloudy for this Klingberg team.
Tony seeing all the people that he's been keeping behind him in the point standings going by 1-by-1. Well, there is still hope for Seneca. There could be another yellow flag, and he can dive in, get some new tires, and come back out. Mike Eddy is way out in front of this as you look at the battle for 8. Two of the other contenders in the title hunt, Scott Hansen in the 53 and Gary Cinnamon in the 7.
They started on the front row this afternoon. Second and third in points, excuse me.
Hey, tell me more about that 53 car.
Well, they've had the left side tires on there since lap 215, and they say it's just killing him. Scott really needs a set of left sides before this thing is over if he's going to be competitive.
Oh, and Hansen drifting really getting high. Looks like Hansen's maybe running somebody else's rims.
He's running hard.
Let's see when he comes back around here. It looks like the right side tires black rims. So he is running out of his regular tires. We can find out some more about that. He is obviously working in conjunction with somebody else. That could become a story too if they end up needing to pit one more time and no tires available.
Traditionally running the chrome diamond wheels, and now we see the black ones on the right side. Interestingly enough, as bad as his left side tires are, Gary Cinnamon cannot get an advantage. Hook Hansen's car is handling beautifully. He may be able to go in the corner deeper at this point. Not by choice, but it seems to be paying off because the outside groove has worked all afternoon long for whoever's been up there.
Dave, you got more on those tires from Hansen?
Yeah, when Rick Miller fell out of the race earlier in the Snow King Chevrolet, the guys from Hansen's crew went over there, bought the tires from him, and that's where you get the black rims.
Okay. Obviously, here comes Cinnamon. Goodyear folks usually bring one or two compounds with them. Maybe there was a compound that Scott wanted in particular. The only other driver had some left, Rick Miller.
I talked to Kevin Swinsky. He said you want to run scuffed tires. You want to run scuffed tires on this racetrack, and perhaps Hansen had just stickers left, so he went looking for scuffs.
And Tony Raines will watch these two go by. 355 laps. This is the way the running order was. This is a great, we've seen some tremendous side-by-side racing here today.
Jack Landis at 12th and final car on the lap. Tony Raines is now 13th, one lap down, half a lap from being another lap down. Buddy Schrock, and there's Brett Bell. And Harold Fair. .358 laps completed as we work closer to the completion of this one. 400 laps scheduled today here at Jennerstown. Brett Bell now gets around Gary Cinnamon, so if Hansen's got tire problems, Gary Cinnamon's car obviously is not perfect at this point. Buddy Schrock doing a great job. He lost about 8 spots in the pits, though. He talks about the veteran crew chief. His brother Donnie is working great with the crew, but that crew has only been together for a short time. Schrock lost some spots on the pit lane that he's now finally getting back on the racetrack.
So 360 laps now completed. 40 laps to go here. Scott Hansen's crew watches to see how far up their driver can get.
AC-Delco knows that as the car gets older, its engine runs rougher. So we developed a spark plug to help bring back new car feel. Rapid Fire from AC-Delco. It makes an engine idle up to 27% smoother. And accelerate with up to 18% quicker throttle response. Rapid Fire. It'll have the competition shaken. Check out packages of Rapid Fire for a chance to win cash prizes or a new Chevy Blazer.
The Stock Car Cafe. Is it a stock car racing museum? You bet. Do famous drivers really come in there?
Yes, sir. We love great food, too.
It's the best in casual dining, in a family atmosphere, with some of the greatest racing fans in the world. And you might just make some new friends while you're there. The Stock Car Cafe, Charlotte, North Carolina, and coming soon to the rest of the world.
Experience the thrills and chills of sports this October on Prime. First, get your heart racing with the engine's roar as Prime Sports serves up the ARCA 400 and the UAW GM 500 pole. Then, yikes, it's the ladies with the spikes as the women of Pro Beach Volleyball bury you in the sand. Experience the Hershey's spine-tingling shots as the scariest men on the planet duke it out on Prime Championship Boxing and Friday night at the 400. A whole month of sports thrills and chills this October on Prime.
The 1996 AC-Delco Challenge Series is brought to you in part by Win Oil Company, makers of quality automotive car care products. Remember, when it's wins, it works. And by your GM Goodrich service dealer. We want your business. Tony Raines on pit road, Dave Burns.
Well, guys, they came in, and just for drill, they decided to stop the engine and try to restart it. It would not turn over, and so they're going to go ahead and replace the battery and see if that is part of the problem. These cars are not only mechanical, but they are electrical, and if that battery's gone, a whole host of things can go wrong, including something that feels like a miss.
Getting a great look at what's involved in changing a battery on an ASA car from Brad Hutton, our cameraman down there. And there's a good look at the fight going on for the lead. Mike Miller closing in on Mike Eddy.
And Mike Eddy closing in on Buddy Schrock here. Scott Hansen has gone down a lap. Now Schrock finally goes down one.
Seneca is still in third, and Sawinski is in fourth, but they are about a straightaway behind the leaders. And Seneca, I think, slid his own rope by not changing tires. Sure seems like it.
It has cost the Bluebird a top five, perhaps even a better finish as Mike Eddy's checking out now on Mike Miller, excuse me. Eddy in the 88, Mike Miller here in the red and white 18.
Looks like it's going to be settled between a pair of Mikes and the Pontiacs. And that will make the folks in the Pontiac division of General Motors extremely happy because they will have top two finish in the points, add to their point standings, manufacturer's chance.
5 critical points can be picked up by a 1-2 sweep by the Pontiacs.
And with one race remaining, that would be huge. And now Gary St. Amant about to go down the lap. So the good news for Raines right now is that the cars that were closest to him in the point standings are struggling a little bit as well here in the closing stages of this one.
St. Amant's running in 8th position. It's just gotten to the point where this is a 400-lap grind. We're closing within the last 25 laps or so.
Tony McAdoy now. And the Kleinberg Pontiac looks strong again. Sounded pretty good as left. Let's see how it runs. Dave, it looks to me as Raines comes up the front straightaway like he's at full song again.
Oh, man, he has got to be so frustrated right now. Howie Leddow believes that the alternator may have gone, which took the battery out, which gave him the whole problem.
Well, I'm telling you, he is at full strong again, as he is definitely back to full speed, passing cars. And look at this fight. He is down to 13 laps as Tony Raines.
That will save him many positions, though. If he had to keep that car in the pits, he would have been 40 laps down. Now he's just 13 laps down unofficially to the leaders.
Mike and Mike show. Remember, these two got together at IRP. Mike Eddy ended up in the wall. Some bad blood about that for a week or so. That's right when Mike Eddy was feeling the most pain from his rib injury, too.
Mike Miller started this race in 3rd position. Mike Eddy started way back in 17th. They both charged to the front early. Mike Eddy was able to come through like a bull in a china shop. Typical of him.
Look at Mike Miller fighting that steering wheel.
Mike Miller is able to keep that car on the bottom.
Miller is really fighting that steering wheel. These guys are really working that wheel. Couple of rough old veterans having out of here. What a career season Mike Miller has had. He gets another. Whoa! Look at Mike Miller right in front of our leaders, and Mike Eddy hit luck Mike Eddy has had. Just absolutely incredible the luck this driver has had. Once again, we saw him as one of the fastest cars on the day. Problems and Lady Luck just ripping it away from Mike Eddy once again. Oh, Dave Burns.
Guys, I don't know what they left on the track, but Dennis Lampman's right rear tire is down. Buddy Schrock has a left side tire down. There must have been something all over the track, either as a result of that or just beforehand.
No, it was definitely after that, Dave, because just as they went into him, Mike splintered the fiberglass body panels on his car big time, and as you can see, so has Tom Harrington. So now, does Seneca pit and get new tires?
Guaranteed.
Mike Miller sits in first, possibly steering in his fourth career win, third win of the year. What a season, and look at the bad luck Mike Eddy has had, Dave.
Nowhere to go.
We're going to go to work on that right side, guys, but you saw it best. He hit hard into Tom Harrington's car, and the gloves are coming off. The fighter is giving up the fight, and Mike Eddy's going to climb out of here.
Well, there is definitely suspension damage to that car. What an absolute shame. Let's take a look as Bob Sensima pulls some parts away.
Harrington had spun in turn 4. He's already stopped, but look how charging Mike Miller is to the bottom. That did not leave an avenue for Mike Eddy. Miller was going for the lead here.
You can see Mike is hard on the brakes, both of them. And Eddy looking for a way to go, doesn't know where to go because Harrington's car was still turning around. It's just too late. And what's amazing about that is Mike Eddy avoided serious impact with Cindy Peterson at Lakeland, which allowed him to get the win. And here, from our fan cam version, just what the crowd in the grandstand saw, Mike does not escape this time.
Lampman and Harrington both had spun. The 9 car there, Lampman had spun as Harrington did.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how this all shakes out when we come back to Jennerstown.
When it comes to taking care of beautiful wheels, there's only one brand exclusively recommended by the world's leading wheel manufacturers. Eagle One, quality for those who care.
Hi, I'm Buddy Parrott. You may not know it, but radiators can build up rust and sludge that will cause leaks and cooling system failure. So, if you don't want to end up like this fella, then use Restorer's Radiator Restorer, Sealer, Conditioner, and stop leaks fast. Radiator Restorer keeps radiators clean. It's environmentally safe and works with regular antifreeze. Don't be left behind. With Radiator Restorer, you'll stay on the road. Stop leaks in seconds with Radiator Restorer.
When Ron Hornaday Jr. is on the track in his Napa brake parts truck, he doesn't even think about stopping.
Man, Ron's flying today.
Dave Earnhardt, your wife called. Said something about an anniversary.
But when Ron hits the street, he relies on Napa brake parts. Because like all Napa parts, they're as good as you can get. Napa, we keep America running and stopping.
Deep, rich, luscious color can only have one source. Eagle One Wet Car Polish. For the hottest looking ride on the road, get wet.
We are back to the Jennerstown Speedway in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. What incredible twists and turns we have had to this Pennsylvania 400. And Mike Miller is still the leader, but things have really shaken up behind that, Jim.
Bob Seneca is second. He did not pit on the racetrack. He did not pit, excuse me, he stays on the racetrack. Tony Roper's third, Kevin Swinski fourth, and Ted Smokestad right now is posted at fifth.
Okay. And the Mike Eddy story is about to come to a close with Dave Burns.
He didn't want to talk to him. He said to me, you can see I had the car to win. You saw what happened. There's nothing more to say.
Absolutely right. Can't argue with that.
Brett Bell is in sixth, and seventh is Brad Loney. So we get back to green. Eighth is Gary St. Amant, 1 lap down. Hansen is ninth, 1 lap down, and Buddy Schrock is 1 lap down in 10th position.
Well, with about 15 laps to go, Mike Miller is checking out. He just pulled away from the field. He has got 2 cars, Gary Santamont and Harold Fair, between him and Bob Seneca. Seneca's got nobody between him and Tony Roper. That's the fight for second, and now Sawinski closes in on Roper in a good battle for third. So unless something happens to Mike Miller, we are about to see a driver who has not gotten a victory for 15 years pick up his 3rd win in one season. What an incredible career year for Mike Miller. It's interesting, you know, you see from 2 different spectrums. How bad a year Mike Eddy's having, how good a year Mike Miller is having.
Only Bob Seneca and Kevin Sawinski have 3 wins this year. At this point in any season previous to this, you've had 4 or 5 wins by Seneca, 6 wins by Eddy. It hasn't happened. There's been a lot of drivers, 10 different drivers, scoring a victory this season. And I believe Bob Seneca, we were talking during the commercial break, consensus opinion is Seneca wasn't being pressured from behind at all. He was not going to lose position. He would have lost a lot of positions on the racetrack if he came in the pits.
Yeah, with just 15 or so laps to go, he probably would not have been able to get all the way back up and catch Miller anyway. So the best bet Bob had was to stay out on the racetrack and see if he could hold on to second. But I do think he slit his throat by not changing tires in that yellow before. And look at Tony Raines. Tony Raines in the 87 car is going faster than the rest of the cars on the racetrack right now, except for maybe Mike Miller. He is passing all these cars. It's a futile attempt, really, to regain positions because he's so many laps down. And how frustrating it must be to know you had a good car, but.
If you just joined us, he was running in the top 5 when he thought he had a motor problem. It turned out to be the alternator, which took out the battery. They replaced that, lost 13 laps unofficially in the pits. And as you said, he's the fastest guy out there. 14 laps now officially from ASA scoring.
Seneca continuing to try to track down Mike Miller, but I don't see it happening. Miller with a half a straightaway lead right now, and the best bet on the racetrack is really for third, right there. Tony Roper and Kevin Sawinski.
Roper in the Child's Tire Chevrolet, the Brown & Sharp Coleman Racing Products Chevrolet for Sawinski, looking for another top 5 finish to what is an outstanding rookie season for Sawinski in the 1 car.
This will be Roper's career best? I'm trying to think.
He's had a couple 4th place finishes.
I think it might be if he can hold on to third. Sawinski trying to add to his already growing legendary status as one of the best ever rookies to enter the AC-Delco Challenge Series Tour. We call him a rookie because he's a rookie on this tour, but in so many ways he's not a rookie, having already won the ARCO title.
And he's had vast experience in traveling to different racetracks all over the United States. It's not an uncommon thing to see Sawinski or Hansen at any racetrack when it doesn't conflict with the ASA schedule, including the 1 mile oval in Phoenix, including races down south. He ran Alpo for a while, and those are a lot of bull rings that he probably has not seen in a number of years and nor had ever been to before. Thus the success he's had winning at tracks he's not been to this season.
Now the Pennsylvania crowd having enjoyed a great afternoon of racing here in Jennerstown, as this one has really been a roller coaster ride up front. So many different people looking like they had a shot at this one. 5 laps to go, and Mike Miller must be grinning from ear to ear. His wife is here at the grandstand, just sitting below us. She's going crazy, chomping on her gum, waiting for this one to come to conclusion. There's the lead, and there's the gap back. Seneca, look at Raines, putting Seneca, getting around him. Still, such a quick car, but unable to capitalize on it here today. It's going to be a real dogfight. November 17th, Kendling, North Carolina, Southern National Speedway. Make sure you tune in and catch that one if you can. Join us in the grandstands from Kendling. Well, I'm sure the tickets are going to be going fast and furious down there, but this one really building up to be a tremendous fight to finish.
Talk about Sawinski going to new racetracks. It's a new racetrack for the series. No driver has ever competed in an ASA race at Kendley Southern National Speedway, so that'll be another huge factor in who will come out as the champion.
Just a couple of laps to go, and Sawinski trying to hold on to 4th. The Smokestack challenging a little bit.
Great run for Smokestack, the Minnesota-based team, looking at a top 5 in just a lap and a half.
Here comes our leader off at turn number 4. The white flag is in Roger Slack's hands. As you watch Seneca and the rest come through with just one more tour of the half mile here in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania, and Mike Miller will be picking up his 3rd win, the 4th of his career on the Car Cup Pontiac, the winner, and the Pennsylvania 400 in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. Seneca gets credited with second, Roper third, Sawinski fourth. And you see Mike Miller's crew chief talking to him on the radio. Happy group there. Mike Miller wins the Pennsylvania 400. Stay right where you are. We're coming back to Jennerstown to talk to our winners. Put a close to a really roller coaster race here in Pennsylvania.
This is the story of the man in black, and the Goodwrench team keeps his car on track. You know their secret's consistency. It's all in the list. And if it takes all night, they'll get it done right. Turn to your GM Goodwrench service team for consistency and attention to detail. Their tools, training, equipment, and genuine GM parts let you run with the winners. To build the perfect ride, use a checklist as your guide. And always keep the customer satisfied. Meet the challenge. And with me,
And we are back to the Jennerstown, Pennsylvania Speedway. And there is Victory Lane. Mike Miller climbing out of the car.
That was a hell of a race.
Yes, it was, Mike Miller. You can be sure of that. And Dave Burns is with him, as is his wife.
Well, kind of in the middle of a hug fest here, and he's going to get one from Renee here and everybody that's helped out. And I already told Mike we had enough time to thank about every sponsor in the book, and you don't have to give me a hug, just so you know that. But you could. Great run out there today. You guys were fast.
Well, the old AFC 1000 Car Cup Wagner-powered Pontiac Grand Prix did good today. We were fast all day, and I just hated it for Mike Eddy. I mean, his season just can't, he can't do anything right. There he was, leading the race, and gets in a late race wreck. Geez, I feel really bad for Mike.
Well, we were talking about that contrast, the kind of year that he has had, and yet the kind of year that you've had. This is your third win. You guys look like it's your first win ever. I mean, you're very excited, but 3 wins this year. How do you account for that?
Well, we've worked, of all the teams out here, everybody works really, really hard, but I think that we're probably working harder than anybody. And I'd like to say hello to my parents and my brother down in Daytona. And again, I'd like to tell everybody in TV land that I am blessed with my pit crew. I mean, these guys did it again today. I mean, they did it at the Minnesota State Fair. They did it at I-70, and they've been doing it all season long. And I'll tell you what, this AFC 1000 Car Cup Pontiac is getting the program done.
Now, I understand you had one close call today. You pinched Carl a little bit on the inside wall there today, but that was about the only bubble in your day.
Well, it was a good day. Like I said, I really feel bad for Mike Eddy.
Okay. Well, Mike Miller obviously very conscious of his competitors, but he's going to celebrate, guys. Another great victory for him and his team.
Absolutely, and we also want to send along some get well wishes to John Janik, one of the ASA officials who we miss dearly here at the racetrack. John, hurry up and get yourself better. We got to get you back out here and get these cars all squared up, technically legal.
Coleman's crying.
Coleman's his pilot over there, and he's getting a little teary-eyed. Mike Miller's crew is celebrating once again here in the 1996 season. They have found their way to victory lane for the 3rd time. Way to go, Mike.
It's their turf. It's their world. It's their game. And when we don't play by their rules, the results can be deadly.
From the creator of the award-winning television series Wild America comes a home video unlike anything you've ever seen. These are nature's dangerous encounters, captured in one of the most astonishing wildlife films ever made, and available now for the first time as a special one-hour home video. Call this toll-free number now to get Dangerous Encounters for just $19.95. It is not available in stores. Order now, and you'll also receive Watching Wildlife absolutely free. That's right. Both of these extraordinary programs are yours for just $19.95. Call now.
For rush delivery, get your credit card ready and call 1-800-352-2121. That's 1-800-352-2121, or send your check or money order to the address on your screen. Call now.
Tired of cheap substitutes? Well, hang on! It's Prime World Championship Wrestling. The real deal. The biggest hams and body slams and faces only a mother could love.
Catch the action Mondays on this regional sports network.
We are back to the Jennerstown Speedway here in Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. As you take a look at the top 5, the official standings. Seneca and Roper, Kevin Sawinski, Ted Smokestack getting another good finish. Shame to see the folks at Super America bailing out of that program when it really starts to get up and running well. And here's a look back at 6 through 10. Kerry St. Amant obviously in the point standings, and Scott Hansen picking off good finishes there. And Jack Landis, one of the best runs he's had this year, getting inside the top 10 in his rookie season. Let's go back down to Dave Burns.
Well, you know, the Seneca crew had an interesting transition in the middle of the year here. They actually gave Patty Seneca a headset with a microphone. And